Shalom, shalom, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Masada Watchmen. Today is going to be a powerful segment. I believe this is one of your panelists, one of your hosts, More Shema Talmiyahu, and we have Chief Zebulon Ben Lewi Hadechia, and we got Shaul Prince Shaul, as well as Yeshayahu. Y'all ready for today?
Hallelujah. Shalom, shalom.
Yeah, yeah. So today's topic is oh wow, that's crazy. Today's topic is the lack of masculinity in men and femininity that word, in women, the effects it has on the black community. So, what? Just going before we even get started with that. What are you all's? And real quick, we do have a special guest today. We have a special guest today by the name of Shanelle Shalom, an author, a femininity coach, and powerful on messages in regards to women as well as men. So I'm excited to see what she adds to the Masada Watchmen today. But before we get started, do anybody have anything to speak about as far as the topic is concerned?
Can I hop on in? I guess I will. This topic, it's not one that none of us are unfamiliar with. I believe we kind of somewhat tackled it on a previous platform that we were on together. Shout out to Love Language. But here, while we're here, we're going to hit on it. I guess from a few different perspectives. We have the young sister on to provide her perspective as well, which would be a beautiful thing. Looking at this topic, just from the title alone, um, it it breathes a sense of wanting to get better. You know what I mean? Just from viewing that top, that just that aspect of masculine energy and feminine energy, and to see how it comes together and see the different dynamics it takes inside of a household, or it plays inside of a household rather. It's one that can be a beautiful storm, or it can be a raging storm, or it can be both at the same time depending on how it's used. So just dealing with the complex, multifaceted areas that each subject holds, it kind of brings forth a lot, and I'm really interested to see what everybody's perspective is.
Chief.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm definitely looking forward to these subjects, and like the brother Yeshayahu pointed out, I mean, we covered various branches of this subject extensively on love language, and of course this shouldn't be any different. Um, One of the things that I've noticed, and I'm not going to go into it now. We'll save it for the actual platform going forward, and that is that uh, I think one of the difficulties in trying to pinpoint what the issue is with masculine and feminine uh, um, combat is you first got to define what is toxic masculinity. Specifically define it, because the term is, of course, we're throwing it around. Well, not us, but people are throwing it around, on social media. It's become the new thing since 2016 to say, because prior to 2016, you'll be hard pressed to actually find that term anywhere online. It probably doesn't even exist. So we got to get to the bottom, the definitions of these terms. I think Maury Shema, we had a discussion about certain terms that are being thrown around, and that if they're left unchecked and undefined, they could be very dangerous. Um, I think, what was the term we spoke about before? Uh, from yesterday, the video. I can't remember.
Chauvinism. Chauvinism
Yeah, no,
and
yes, sir, male
misogyny.
chauvinism. There you go.
Yep.
Oh yeah, misogyny, exactly. So yeah, I mean, so I'm definitely looking forward to it. I'm sure everybody's got a whole lot to lay out on this platform, and you know, let's get it going. Let's get it popping.
Prince Shaul, you available? Got any opening lines, opening words for this topic, man?
No, not really, man. I think Chief Zev touched on some of the stuff I was gonna say, man. So yeah, I'm gonna yield right now, and I'm gonna let you or Yahoo say something.
Cool. Appreciate that. For me, masculinity and femininity, that word, femininity, is, I think, we need to really go through with the definitions of these terms. Yes, Yahoo key. You know how we do with the definitions. So get that ready, my dude. And to get an understanding of it, because honestly, until I became a certain age, I really didn't know anything about true masculinity. I think a lot of grown men today don't really know what true masculinity is. We equate that to just being hard, harsh, and things like that. But it's a wide spectrum when it comes to that, as well as femininity. So that word, I hate that word, by the way. So with that, I want to open by saying that those are the things that we really got to address and to get a better idea of it, so the rest of the community can have an understanding of it. So without further ado, I want to introduce our guest. She just dropped off. Hopefully she'll come back in shortly. Having a little difficulties with the... There she is. All right. Our guest, Shanelle Shalom. Are you there? Shanelle, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
All right. If you can you just introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about you. What led you on the path that you're on, as far as your authorship, your ministry, things of that nature. Just to give us a little synopsis about yourself, and then after that, if you would also let us know what you think of this topic before we go into the first subject matter. And I'll mute myself.
Okay. At first,
Uh-oh. Think she popped out? There she is. Okay, you're back on. Yeah, you're back on.
okay, sorry. I first took interest in, I won't say femininity, but I'll say womanhood when I was a little girl, because I grew up with just my mom and my two sisters. And there was no men in the home. I didn't have any brothers. I didn't have a father. So that pretty much gave me the opportunity to really take a close look at women and the way we operate. So I pretty much started studying women when I was a child, because I really didn't have a choice. I didn't have any male influences in my life. So um, I would just, look at
All right. So her signal must have dropped. She did warn me about her signal, where she's located, so hopefully she'll come back in. There she is. There we go. You're back on. You there? Chanel? Hello. Chanel, you there? All right, till she comes back on, what we can do is we can go on to the topic. Chanel, are you on? I think I see you. Are you there now? I think your audio is off. All right. We're going to go ahead and go forward. Just send me a message or just pop in whenever your audio gets good, and then we could go ahead and continue with letting us know a little bit about yourself and going into the topic. So, all right, so the first topic that we have speaking on, the first thing we're speaking on is toxic masculinity, right? Yeshayahu, you there?
I am here.
Were you able to grab those definitions at all?
If you check the chat box,
All
they're
right,
right
let me
there.
check it out. It's in the messenger, Facebook Messenger.
Private chat, right on.
All right, gotcha.
For StreamYard.
All right, so we have masculinity right here. So it says the quality or nature of the male sex, the quality, state, or degree of being masculine or manly. That definition right there, what is you all's take on that definition? For me, I would say that, especially the last part of it, I think it's more subjective, unless we have, and this is what our brother Prince Shaul speaks on, and I agree on, is a standard of what it is. Remember, I had said I didn't really learn about masculinity truly until a certain age, and I had to learn it myself, and it's still I want to say kind of subjective. I have a certain standard of what I go by as far as what masculinity is due to the walk that I'm on, but until I'm pushed into a culture, a righteous culture, so to speak, I would say it's still subjective. So what's you all's take on that definition that he provided for us for masculinity? Go ahead.
Mind if I hop in on this? All right. So right off the bat, I actually agree with you. As I stated previously, and I feel it's worth being stated again. When we're dealing with terms like these, there's a bit of cultural relevance that has to come into perspective. Um, so, like you said, I had an ideal as a kid of what it meant to be masculine, or what it meant to be manly, or what it meant to be operating within manhood. But as we grow and we become more diverse and see other cultures, embrace and learn cultures, we can see how some of those ideals, whether they were pushed on by certain, household dynamics, or, dynamics within, your social setting, those things tend to kind of become erased or kind of become swayed, either right or left. So when we're looking at this definition, it's kind of like what I would call an umbrella effect. You know what I mean? It's the overall ideal of what it means to be masculine. As we see, the root word for masculine is linked to like muscular or being strong, and these are attributes that across the board we tend to equate to men. I want to say I might be jumping ahead of the game and saying that those attributes or qualities are not only for men, are only in a realm that men can show. So I'm gonna yield there before I go too far, but that's what I think. Just looking at that definition as a standalone.
Chief Zeb, did you have anything for it?
Okay, yes, sir. I mean, looking at it, I mean, of course, anything on the surface, can be seen as palatable. We can look at it and say, yeah, okay, yeah, I agree with that. But I do agree with everybody, with everybody so far on the platform that, well, especially in this day and time, it's very subjective. And the reason I think it's subjective is because the definition of masculinity or manhood it's not really defined specifically. It's not very detailed. Like the brother said, anybody can step into. This is one of the reasons why, and I think if I remember correctly, 1997 was the first time a dictionary, and I believe it was I want to say it was the Oxford. I think it was an Oxford dictionary. I can't recall, but it was around 1997 was the first time that the term man was defined and given the what men do, and it says, and it is applicable to women. And I remember at the time it was a big deal. Like it was like, whoa, so what are you trying to say? A woman can be a man, and I believe that was the beginning stages of a seed being planted of obscuring manhood. Once you obscure the detailed definitions and the detailed roles of manhood, anybody can step in and fulfill those roles. So for instance, let's look at the I guess what like so-called anthropologists, and other like philosophers who talk about toxic masculinity and all of these different terms. One of the first things that they tell you is that manhood is based on what they call the 3 P's: providing, protecting, Salakliaki.
Oh, you're all good.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. But providing, protecting, and procreating. Those are what they call the 3 P's of manhood. That this is essentially what manhood is comprised of. So when you look at these things, there's two different entities that could equally play this role. One is a pimp, a protector, and a provider, whatever, and to procreate, and also the government. The government can step in and play that role as well. Who provides for the woman now in many urbanite scenarios? The government. Who protects them? The government. So what happens is that when you obscure the definition and the specific roles of a man, not as an entity but as an actual individual, once these roles are obscured and definitions are made to be very open and very approachable from different angles, from different people, now anybody can come in and claim that they are a man. You have bulldagger lesbians that will make the argument that they're more of a man than men. How can they say that if they don't have a definition that is already catered to them? And it's so relative that anybody could step in and claim to be that. Where does that actually place manhood at? So the definition, it's like we're clear on the definition, but I agree with everybody that it's too wide and too general for us to really deal with it in more specific terms and to get to the bottom of what in fact is masculinity, what exactly is a man. So that's what I'll proceed with that.
Excellent. Prince Shaul, you have anything?
I ain't gonna hold you.
All right, let's go ahead and move on then. I think he might be a little busy, perhaps. Let's go into the toxic masculinity. And it says toxic masculinity, a cultural concept of manliness that glorifies stoicism. I cannot say that word. Strength, virility, and dominance, and that is social, maladaptive, and or harmful to mental health. Men and women both suffer when toxic masculinity perpetuates expectations that are restrictive and traumatizing. That's an interesting Interesting definition. Any thoughts on that?
Chief, you gonna go first?
Now you can handle. Yeah, you can go ahead, Gaki. I think that's going to be the order that we go in. You can start it off. I'll go, and we go from there.
All right, all right. That works for me. Um, I'm gonna start off by saying, anytime you put the word toxic in front of something, it automatically means bad.
Yes, sir.
That definition, that definition is a good one. I like the fact that it focuses on the um, the aspect of being harmful to mental health. I think when we talked about this topic before in this conversation of toxic masculinity, and I believe we even coined the phrase, excuse me, the phrase toxic femininity, which I'm quite sure we're going to hit on again a little later on tonight. But you can have aspects of both. Um, and with that with the only thing that I'm seeing is, it's a more thought out thought as far as defining, I guess you can say, kind of the or I guess you can say adapting kind of the rules of whatever we think manhood is, and just putting that overburdensome or overbearing format to it. So that's basically it. For now, I'm gonna yield and let Chief knock it out the park.
I apologize, brother. I was trying to handle the situation with Sister Chanel, so I was kind of caught up in that. If possible, can Shaul step in?
Yeah, if he can, I'll go ahead.
Okay.
My view on the whole toxic masculinity in regards to this definition, to me, is still subjective. A lot of these definitions are, to me, subjective and is used a lot of times, not all of the time, to benefit the person that's pushing the term on an individual or on individuals themselves. I that's what I just, over the last, I don't know, man, couple of years now, that's what I've been seeing with a lot of definitions. It's kind of like, I like the way Yeshayahu brought out the umbrella. It's kind of like it's there. It's an umbrella for us to kind of have a point of reference. But, you start to realize that depending on the group of people that you're around, the settings that you're around, those definitions can vary. So I'm big on the whole standard thing that Prince Shaul brought out. When I first met him. So I'm big on that. So my whole take with the toxic masculinity definition is, I see it as a reference for people, but if it's not used properly, I think it's subjective. And with that, I'm gonna pass the mic to Prince Shaul.
Can yeah, I got knocked off, so I can't even see the definition for the toxic masculinity.
I got you right here, Ak. If you want me to read it for you.
Can
All right, it says toxic masculinity, and it's a couple words on here. A cultural concept of manliness that glorifies stoicism. I might be saying that wrong. Strength, virility, and dominance, and that is socially maladaptive or harmful to mental health. Men and women both suffer when toxic masculinity perpetuates expectations that are restrictive and traumatizing.
mm. um. I mean, I just hearing that, I can see off rip why y'all was saying it's subjective, because I mean it really is, like, and like Chief Zeb was saying, like, prior to 2016, like, you never even wasn't even hearing that word or that term, toxic masculinity. But actually, I think that the fact that some women came up with the term shows how toxic their femininity is versus our masculinity, because for them to even make up something like that just lets you know what they into and what their vision and their purpose, or what they say they feel their purpose is, as far as why they feel like they have to fight for their rights and all this other kind of stuff. Um, and then another thing too, like for them to, come with these concepts that they come with, um, kind of lumping, well, not even kind of lumping all men into the same boat, because a few of them was with some guys and got knocked upside the head or whatever the case was, and it's, hey, putting everybody in the same boat really don't make sense. But my view on that definition, I agree, it's subjective. Um, I think I think it has it does have a negative connotation, but it's negative in general, and I think it's also um, I think is deleterious to just manhood in general, for them to even make a definition like that. And then, you know, I have seen certain celebrities, like I remember a few years ago. I don't know if y'all remember when Terry Crews got caught up in that situation, and
Mm-hmm.
and basically this dude, his career was on the line, and he got to talking about Me Too and all that when the dude grabbed his joint. And DL Hughley was like, bruh, like, bro, you big as hell. Like, what you mean, Me Too? And then this man go get online telling some, see, that's that toxic masculinity. And he was one of the first celebrities that did that. He did that again because his career was on the line, because of some other stuff that was going on at the same time when that news came out. That news came out about him being grabbed by that executive at that Hollywood party. So it's like, and they use people of prominence to push agendas so people can get behind it and support it. But half the people that even rock with the definition or even use the term toxic masculinity on a regular basis is a person who would generally be considered an airhead, man. Like they couldn't even tell you up from down. They couldn't tell you like why
This
they
man and his catchphrases be hilarious to me. He said airhead.
airhead, man. Like they couldn't tell. Like if you ask a person why they represent, if you ask the average person why they represent what they represent, they probably couldn't even tell you why. And you ask a person like, what is toxic masculinity and why do you even stand behind it? Just ask some brothers that, and they couldn't tell you. I bet they couldn't tell you, because half of these agendas is out here don't even have an end game, doesn't have don't have any kind of weight or a foundation to hoist up what it truly represents and what the actual goal is at the end of the tunnel or the finish line, and what that's supposed to look like, and what kind of freedom or liberation that's supposed to bring to these women, and what that's even about. And half the people in this group, or call themselves supporting that group, couldn't tell you the same. Couldn't tell you more than the women that's represented. They couldn't tell you anything either. So it's like, I mean, that's my take on it. I don't rock with it. I don't agree with it. I think it's negative. I think it's deleterious to manhood. I think it's deleterious to the women as well. And they're getting behind a train that's moving at a top speed, but at the same time going nowhere. And that's my point of view on it.
All right, appreciate that. Before we go forward, real quick, Chief, are you there? Did you get that situated with the sister Shanelle?
Kanaki, I just sent you a message. I have her she's on the line right now.
Cool, good, good. All right, do you all want to go ahead and move to the topic, or I actually could let her finish? Matter of fact, yeah, let's do that. Chanel, if you could just continue from where you were at, telling us how you was getting to this path, your ministry, I think you was telling us a little bit about your childhood leading you to this point. And then once you're done with that, we can go right into the first subject.
Were you able to hear that, sis?
I can hear it a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. So the brother Shema, he just wanted you to come in and pretty much pick up where we left off with going into your background, your history, and why how you came to the conclusions that you're dealing with now. So we want to just kind of pick up where you left off.
Okay, do I go ahead and start?
Absolutely.
Okay. So, as I was saying, I grew up in a home where it was just me, my sisters, and my mother. There was no brothers. My father wasn't in the home. So it was just women. And so that pretty much gave me the opportunity to kind of study women because I really had no choice. I didn't have any male influences around me. And what I noticed about my mother and also my aunts and my grandma is that they seem to be always unhappy. And usually it would be them being unhappy with their children or unhappy with their husband. And so that made me, at a young age, I think I was still under the age of 10 when I, excuse me, when I decided that I didn't want to be a mother and I didn't want to be a wife because it was apparent that, being a wife and a mother makes you unhappy because, that's what it looked like with the women in my family. They were always mad at their children. They were always mad at their husband. So I was like, well, I don't want to be a wife. I don't want to be a mother because that's going to make me unhappy. So I think when I was, in my mid-teens, that's when I first got introduced to feminism. And I don't know how I first heard about it. I think I read about it in a magazine. I think it was like a teen magazine. And I started reading about it and I started looking it up on the internet and just, kind of researching it. And I gravitated toward it because they were basically teaching, an ideology that says you don't have to be a mother, you don't have to be a wife, you can be a businesswoman, you can be a politician, you can be a writer, you can be all these other things, and there's so many other opportunities for you. You don't have to take this, family woman route. So I was happy to hear that because I felt like taking that route was going to lead to unhappiness anyway. So I was glad that someone was basically saying that there was a better option or an option where I could actually be happy. So by the time I was 16, I was already a feminist. And I think feminism didn't really start to negatively affect me until I was in my mid-20s, I would say, because I wasn't really dating. Before that, I was just kind of doing my own thing. I started being a blogger for this website called Associated Content, and I was being paid for it. So, I just loved blogging and writing about feminism and stuff like that. So I felt like I was empowered to do what I wanted to do. I also had started like this small business where I was making handmade bath and body products. So, I just felt, I didn't feel like feminism had a negative effect on me at all. I felt like it just pretty much empowered me to, take my life into my own hands, basically. And when I got around 24, that's when I first found out I was an Israelite. And I found out through my brother-in-law. He was the one that, taught me and my sisters that we were Israelites. And I was already a feminist by then, but I kind of, I didn't really accept the Israelite doctrine at first. And I told my brother-in-law, I was like, well, I'm a feminist, and I'm not gonna do what you're teaching me to do. I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna be submissive. I'm not gonna respect men. And I continue to basically live by the ideologies that I believed in. So between the ages of 24 and 28, a lot of bad things happened to me. And I do feel like God allowed those things to happen because I had already know the truth by then, and I basically rebelled against it. So I guess that is why God allowed certain things to happen. But I would say around 27, 28, I came across Shahrazad Ali. And she was basically like the mother I never had. She was saying all these things I never heard before, but she seemed loving, and she seemed like she had authority, and she seemed like she was serious about what she was saying. So I had no choice but to listen to her because she just had such a demanding presence, So I just watched these videos that she had, and I couldn't stop watching videos of Shahrazad Ali, even though she was saying things that I didn't necessarily agree with. It was just something about her and what she was saying. It just seemed like it was right. It seemed true. So I just kept watching, and then I eventually read her book, The Black Man's Guide to Understanding the Black Woman. And, I was pretty much sold after that. I was like, okay, this is the truth. This is what women need to do. This is how women need to be. So that's what pretty much led me to where I am now. I am thankful for my brother-in-law that taught me that I was an Israelite, even though I kind of rejected it at first, but I'm thankful for that. And of course, I'm thankful for Shahrazad Ali because I feel like those were the two people that really introduced me to the truth. So that's how I ended up where I am now.
Appreciate that. And also, can you also, tell us what it led you to do as far as your authorship and your coaching and things of that nature? Then we'll go ahead and jump into the topic. Was she able to hear me, Chief?
Sis,
I can barely hear you.
okay, well, More Shema, he wanted you to maybe give a brief history of you becoming an author, putting out the material that you have that you put out there for the people, and and the things that led you in that direction of being an author.
Okay. Like I mentioned earlier, I first started writing when I was around 21 or 22. I was writing for this website called Associated Content. And right. I took a long break from writing. And I didn't pick it back up until I was 29 or 30 years old. I started back writing because I hated making femininity courses. And so what I would do is I would just all of this and what it is and why we did and how to be orderly, how to be submissive. And then I would create basic tests of it. So that's what really got me into writing.
All right. It's kind of breaking up, Chief.
You kind of we got
I got the gist of it. I got the gist. Led into yeah. So basically, what I got from what she was saying was, due to the history of her skills of writing, she kind of transitioned into the femininity lessons and the authorship due to the current walk that she was in, and learning from Shahrazad Ali and things of that nature is what I kind of gathered from what she was saying. Appreciate that, sis. We're going to go ahead and get started with the first topic. I'll speak up a little bit just in case you can't hear, so that you can hear. And the first topic that we're going to bring out, did anybody have anything to say in regards to what she said before we go forward? Anybody? No? All right. All right, so since we've been talking about toxic masculinity, we're going to go ahead and start there. And I came across a post, and I shared it with the panelists because I thought it was interesting. Now, the percentages, the numbers that they was giving, I'm not sure how accurate it is, but it resonated with me because in my life, on my journey, I did see this as well. I just didn't know any numbers. I didn't research any numbers, anything like that. But I thought it was pretty interesting that they put this there. So I'm about to go ahead and pull it up right now. I'm gonna share it on the screen. Give me a second. See if y'all can see this right here. Do you all see that? You all see that?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
So I'm gonna go ahead and read it for the listeners, and also read it so Shanelle can hear it. Hopefully she can. Maybe, can she hear me right now before I get started, Chief?
Sis Chanel, were you able to hear Shema?
Yes, I can hear.
Good.
Okay, yes.
Good.
Cool.
All right. So the picture that we see, it says toxic masculinity. It says 43% of boys are raised by single mothers. 78% of teachers are female. So close to 50% of boys have 100% feminine influence at home and 80% feminine influence at school. It then says toxic masculinity isn't the problem. The lack of masculinity is. So after me reading that right there, what's you all's thoughts on that? Let's go in the order of let's do Shaul, Chief Zeb, Prince Yeshayahu, Chief Zeb, Prince Shaul, and if Achot or Sis Chanel want to speak on it, she can go as well.
All right. Off the bat, the first thing that reaches out is the statistical data that's placed inside of this post. I know within the surroundings that I've been, introduced to, or the stimuli that has been given to me, or social circles I've been around. I would say the percentage with boys being raised by single mothers is even higher.
Yeshayahu, before you continue, can you let the audience know what's your background, your work, and your degree too, your bachelor degree, so they know that what you bring forward, you know what you're talking about. But go ahead.
Well, as of right now, I work. I guess you can say, to keep it short and simple, I work in a group home. I also work with people who have, let's say, issues with substance misuse. People who are going through addiction, battling. That's kind of my field. I have a bachelor's degree in psychology, working towards my master's. But that's just some quick information.
Thank you.
No worries. Thanks, you gave me a little shout out there. But as growing up, I was primarily raised by my grandmother. But even still, my mother and my father were not together. Co-parenting was a bit of a struggle at many points. So And the same for a lot of friends on the streets. There's a lot of friends on the block or in the area. You would see, you know, the mother's not. I'm sorry, excuse me, the father's not being there. So that's the first thing that reaches out. Now, are these numbers accurate? I don't know, but I can say they ring very true. Um, so even going with the next status with the 78% of teachers um are females. I maybe up until fourth grade, every last teacher I had was female. And I had one male teacher in the fourth grade and then another male teacher in the sixth grade. But between all of my, I guess you can say, all the way up until junior high was majority woman. So that's another thing that rang true. And in my case, there weren't that many so-called black or Afro-American or whatever term you want to use, Israelite. There weren't no darker melanin teachers, not at the ready. Um, Becoming older, that demographic started to change, but primarily it was not only women, but it was Caucasian women. So that's just another envelope that you can see. So there was no representation, not only of my skin tone or my demographic, but there weren't as many influential males. So to me, when I read this post, and I hate to be so long-winded, and I apologize. I know I talk slow. Um, to look at this post and see, these numbers, it's to me is true. And I would say if it wasn't for, some of the surrounding supports that I did have, um, the that first male teacher was a black man, so-called black man. I did have, uncles and things at the ready, around me. So that also helped as well. So I was able to get that positive stimuli of, something that I can identify as a male, in my life. But for so many others, I know that came short and far between, especially in my demographics or where I came from. A lot of the men either were dealing with narcotics, using, or selling, and even some of them, I don't want to knock their, I guess you can say, jobs or what they were doing to make a living, because some of them was even influential as far as telling me what not to do or where not to be. But that was few and far in between. Not, I wouldn't say nowhere near excellent representations of what my thoughts of what a male should be inside of a child's life, especially a young male's life. So I yield there.
Kane, Aki, and I agree. The statistics the statistics are interesting because even in my childhood, and I'm uh, a couple of years older than you. I'm 40. I'm gonna be 45, and when coming up, I think the first male teacher I ever saw was junior high school. And the first um so-called black male teacher was in high school when I was in uh 11th grade. The first time I ever saw a black male teacher. So yeah, it's crazy, but and let me just, for the flip side of it, it does make sense that women tend to be more populist as teachers, because isn't that what we always say, that women is the first teacher of the child? So it does make sense that more teachers, especially in those formidable years, with the children, that it would be women. That makes sense, but and that's not even the problem. The problem is like the end of the little quote says, and that the problem is the lack of masculinity. When you don't have that balance on the flip side of it, to come in and to kind of harden the edges of what you receive, then everything is topsy-turvy. And it would be the same thing if it was the other way around. For those who might be listening that might think this is a male thing. No, if it was the flip side, if the child was only whether it was a male or female, if the child was only had access to masculine energy all the time, that child would also have issues getting older, because he never had the feminine energy to get familiar with that. That child will be just as jacked up. The bottom line, of course, is that, like I said, toxic masculinity. There's nothing toxic about masculinity. It's what's toxic is when masculinity is not available in the household, and even more so in the schools. And again, we could say that we say it the other way around, because toxic femininity obviously exists, but they don't. But this is not something that we talk about it. But is it toxic femininity, or is it something else? That'll be for another segment in the show. But I agree. I don't know how accurate the numbers are, but they seem, from my own experience, they seem about right. So yeah, I think I agree with this quote almost completely.
Okay. Prince Shaul, you got anything for it, Aki?
And yeah, I would say, man, I agree with you there too. In my experience, I think that the numbers are about right. To be honest with you, the only black teachers I had were in the second and third grade, and they were female, older females. And I only had a few male teachers throughout my um, grade school years. And that was when I had a couple male teachers in middle school and a couple male teachers in high school. But for the most part, I would say about 75 to 80% of my teachers throughout my grade school years were female, uh, white female at that. I also heard a statistic that Omar Johnson threw out that was saying about 70+% of the teachers in schools are female. And on top of that, not only are they female, most of them are older Caucasian white women, um, over the ages of 45, 50, and pretty much up from there, depending on which grade you're in. Um, and I thought about what he said, and I thought about my years in school, and I was like, you know what? That's kind of about right, because a lot of the teachers that I had were, all Caucasian women, uh, and they was up there in age, and they taught classes and stuff like that. So in a lot of the black neighborhoods, it's a lot of all Caucasian women teaching classes and stuff like that. Um, so, and I also would agree with another point she was there brought out in terms of if it was just just a men in the household raising the children, that there'd be an unbalance there. I also agree with that as well. I wouldn't say that, um, if a man was a single father, that he'd just kill it and do a lot better than a single mom. I do think, but I will say that I do think there will be different results in terms of the outcome, um, of what the children would turn out to be if a father was by himself and raising a household, and the government was on our side and not on the woman's side. I think it'll be a different outlook. I'm not necessarily saying that outlook would be positive or anything like that or negative, but I do think there'll be a different look, and I'm not necessarily saying that's good, but the other parts of this is
It could be though. I'm gonna throw that out there. Not saying it would be, but it could be. Never know. Never know.
right. You never know. Oh, I'm glad you said that. You just never know. Never know. But I do want to say too about that post or that article, whoever posted it, that what it says, that part right there, it says boys have 100% feminine influence. I can't even, hold on, let me see it real quick. Let me make it closer. At home and 80% feminine influence at school. And I really do think that's the case though. I have a lot of family members who was raised primarily by women, and their life and how they approach life is completely different than mine, being raised with a father. Um, and some of the stuff my father used to say when I was a kid was like, he used to tell my mom, like him and my mom might get into like a little, I guess they really got into a back and forth because my mom normally had like a certain understanding and mindset when it came to being a wife as well as my dad. But when they did have certain conversations, like my mom would try to do the babying thing, because women have that maternal DNA, so their level of empathy and the way they feel for their children is different than men and fathers. So my dad used to say stuff like, "Hey man, cut that out. You can't you can't raise boys. Let me raise the boy. That's my son." And stuff like that. And when I got older, I started understanding it a lot more, just as I experienced life and how I approach life, and as I experienced being an adult and making decisions on my own. That I am glad that my father did kind of keep that over some, because sometimes a woman can be over emotional with their children, especially boys, and kind of do too much. And I'm glad my dad kind of kept me away from that, because what that did was that kind of put me in a position to where when I did go through things as an adult, as a man, trying to learn my way, I was able to muscle through it, and I was able to self-soothe because I didn't have um, that maternal, so much of that maternal influence on me just as a young man coming up. And so I think, the last part of that article that says the lack of masculinity is the problem. I couldn't agree more, because that's really what the problem is. It's too much feminine energy. It's too much maternal emphasis, and there's not enough paternal emphasis on a young man's upbringing and his outlook on life and his approach to life as a young man, and how to make decisions. Because this world, especially the society we live in, eats you alive, and a lot of young brothers have not been raised with and been equipped with the mentality and the psychological output and strength to deal with what society brings to us, and which is why a lot of brothers react emotionally to a lot of situations, in terms of when they need to handle what life brings you, they deal with it in a reactive type of way, where it's just going ballistic, and just don't handle things with class and with
Okay.
and with prudence. And so I think the man being in the household teaches not only the young man, but as well as but also the young female, um, a certain mental stability, a certain psychological stability, and how to approach life in terms of when life gets rough. I think there's no better opponent or person or recipient of life than a man who has been through it and has went out here in this world and has been trodden down but has gotten back up and has transcended that. Just going back to just 50 years ago, 60 years ago, where you hear that cliche about men go out in the world and go to work and get beat up, and when they come home they should have a certain layout at home, or their wife should have a certain layout at home for them, just from going to war every day, just going out. Especially us as melanated men. And so I think a man has a better approach and a better outlook to those type of situations, just being a man and is able to bring that balance and that outlook to the home, to the children, so that when they go through these things, especially the young men, that they actually know how to handle things with prudence, with class, with wisdom and discernment, and that they just don't lash out and start going ballistic and putting their hands on people, or murdering people, or just going and doing through these little tantrums. That a lot of brothers, we see the CEO on social media with different videos and stuff that's going on. Brothers just go in the store and somebody say something to him and the brother just going crazy and want to fight everybody in the store. You know what I mean? And so I think the masculine aspect, the patriarchal aspect to that way of life and growing up in the household, I think that nobody brings that balance better in the household than a man does. And I think that's why masculinity is needed in the household, which is why I agree with the post. So I'm a year right there.
Appreciate that. Now, before I bring Ajoto, Sister Shanelle, in, if she likes, first of all, I want to find out if she wants to speak on it. But before she does, I want to say this. I love the points that you brought out. At the very end of this quote, it says, toxic masculinity isn't the problem. Now, remember I said that masculinity is subjective. It depends on the standard of what masculinity means from your home, your household, or your surroundings, the people that you are around if you didn't have a father in your life, okay? So we have to take that in consideration, right? So toxic masculinity isn't the problem, it says. It says the lack of masculinity is. So when I'm saying this, I'm basically saying, what is true masculinity? A lot of men are taught from their mothers because the fathers are not there. For whatever reasons, many reasons we could speak on. We could speak on a lot of reasons as to why. But the point that I'm making is, when they say this man he got a lot of toxic masculinity, it's not from the standpoint of masculinity that's taught from a man. I'm not putting it on the women like that, but we have to look at that side of it as well. And I don't think a lot of people are. So before we go to the next topic, I want to know if Sister Shanelle has anything to say about this quote. If you do, sis, and you want me to read it over, I can. And if you don't need me to read it over, go ahead. You could speak, or we could go to the next topic, which will be actually your post. So you let me know. I don't know if she heard me, though.
Sure. It's interesting, like what you just said, because the toxic masculinity that a lot of women speak about is actually the masculinity that they learned from women. They learned it from their mothers or other female influences in their life. So they did not learn that so-called toxic masculinity from a man in most cases. And I do agree that the lack of masculinity is the problem because, as I said, I didn't have any masculine figures in my life when I was growing up. And I know how that affected me. So I can imagine how it would affect a little boy. So, yeah.
Forgive me. My mute was Mike. What I said was short, sweet, and powerful. I'm telling you, that was amazing. I love that answer. I love everyone's answer. And hopefully, reading this post that was put out there, those that's watching it either now or later, just take it in consideration, man. This platform is about balance, but we have to hit the core and the reasoning behind the current state that we're in as man and woman, So going forward, did anybody have anything else to add to this topic, toxic masculinity, before we go to the next one? Anybody? Are we good? Let me unshare this screen. All right.
Well, I I would like to add a little something.
Go ahead, now. Go ahead. That's why we got you here. We want a woman's point of view. You know, just go ahead and do your thing.
I feel like, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I thought I cut you off. I feel like women are calling, and this is not all women, of course, but I feel like women are calling all masculinity toxic. You know, anytime a man expresses any type of dominance, any type of aggression, any type of order or control or anything like that, it is being seen as toxic. And I feel like we as women, we don't really understand masculinity ourselves because, you know, of course a lot of us didn't have strong masculine influences in our life. So we don't understand masculinity. And when we do encounter it, we perceive it as toxic because we don't understand it. It seems scary. We never seen it before. We don't know what it means and how to interpret it. So we just assume that it's all toxic, it's all controlling and abusive and all of that. So I think in order for us to actually get along with men, actual masculine men, we are going to have to learn what real masculinity is, because until we do that, we are going to see men who are masculine, men who are not a problem, men who are not abusive, they're not controlling, at least not in a bad way. We're going to still see those men as toxic until we learn what true masculinity is and what it's for, because masculinity has a purpose. You know, men are not just here for no reason. You know, men have a purpose and they serve a purpose in the lives of women and children. So I think that's something that we have to learn in order to actually get along with men.
Hallelujah.
Wow.
Hey, wait, go. Do anybody got any comments towards that before we move forward? Because I want to say something, but I saw the expressions on Chief face.
Go ahead,
Aki. First of all, I want to say I'm glad that Chief and Shanelle we figured that out to get the technical difficulties we was having on the platform fixed. She did mention this in the beginning. I didn't know how to go about it, but I hollered at Chief. We got it fixed. Now we can hear her perfectly clear. What she brought forth is not looked at a lot. And I love what she said. It's like a lot of us don't know a lot of women, even men, don't know what true masculinity is, because not only did the women not really see what real masculinity is, a lot of men didn't. A lot of people didn't have the good experience that Prince Shaul did. He is very rare. I have one friend that is not on our walk. His parents been together, you know, since way before he was born. You know, they've been together 40 some years or something. You know, that's rare. And if you knew his life and how the things he's accomplished from it and knowing how to be a man, that played a huge part. A lot of us on this platform right now, outside of Prince Shaul, I think me and Yeshayahu probably around the same boat. Chief, I'm not really sure. I think you're the same boat as me too, and it sounds like Shanelle is as well. We had to learn through study, through trial and error, through literature, you know, through other elders that, you know, got a grasp on life. Like one of my elders, Morris Shalom, he say his job as an elder is to what, Prince Shaul? Shorten your learning curve so that you do not go through what we went through. So I love what she said. Very powerful. And I'm gonna shut up and let you all jump in if you have anything to comment as far as her. But what she said actually is going to lead into her post. I think that was strategic. I think she did that on purpose. But go ahead. You all got anything to y'all got anything to say in regards to what she said?
She hit it on the head. I'm good.
Okay. Everybody else good? We can move on to the next topic. All right. Let me pull this out. So what I'm bringing up now, people, those that's watching right now, those that's looking back, is actually Shanelle's post. And it's two posts that I'm bringing out. One is one that she actually posted last year in November. And I actually was talking to some. She know the story behind this too. I think I was talking to someone, and getting to know them. It was long distance. It wasn't a relationship, anything like that. We was trying to get to that point. And as soon as I shared this post, Shanelle, you remember this? As soon as I shared this post, she wanted to stop talking to me. Oh, that's how you feel? Oh, I'm done. I'm like, what? I didn't even post this. Secondly, and apparently a lot of women agree with her statement, based upon the comments that was on her post. Even I talked to my mom about it. I talked to my cousin about it. That's a woman. I was like, man, what do you all think about this? They was like, this is exactly how I was. So without further ado, let me find this post. I'm looking for it right now. Forgive me, you all. So you can see it. Here it is right here. Yes, this is it. Okay. So I'm going to read the post, Shanelle. And then once I read the post, I'm going to let you kick it off before we comment on it. To get your ideas and your thoughts from it, which you kind of actually talked on a little bit, but I think you could go a little further after I read this. So her post says, the men of other cultures have power and dominance in their culture, but the black man doesn't have power and dominance in his. And that is mostly because black women will not get behind our men. They want to be out in front leading. And if the black man shows any initiative to lead, they'll make him out to be controlling, abusive, or corrupt. We are the only group of women that don't want our men to lead the community. We are the only women who don't want our men to have power. We are the only women who don't want our men to be dominant. We want our men to be submissive, to put us on a pedestal and treat us as God. Then when we are attacked by outsiders, Chief Zeb, we were just talking about this the other day, our men is supposed to suddenly become strong and dominant to protect us, even though he is soft 99% of the time. Wow.
Yes, sir.
The black community is vulnerable to attack by the other cultures because our women are dominating the men. Cultures that are led by men are not intimidated by a culture that is led by women. Black women and children are not safe because the black woman wants to be out in front and have her protector behind her because her pride won't allow her to get behind him instead. Whew, that was a lot. I'm going to shut up. Shanelle, can you speak on that post of yours that caused me to the person I was talking to stop talking to me? I thought that was amazing.
I'm sorry I caused that situation.
No, you good. I'm glad you did.
Yeah, it was a blessing in disguise, right?
Yeah.
What I was basically trying to say in that post is that we, as black women, we want to pick and choose when we want our men to be masculine. We want them to be masculine when it's convenient for us. If we want, for example, if we want money, okay, now we want you to be a provider. If we want you to protect us from a situation, even if it's a situation we caused ourselves to get into, now we want you to be a protector. But other than specific situations, we usually want our men to be submissive. We want him to follow our lead. A lot of times when you use the word submissive, black women don't really understand what that means. But that means that basically you want your man to be in agreement with whatever rules or standards you set. So hopefully that makes it a little more clear for any women who may be listening that doesn't know what I mean when I say submissive. You want him to agree with what you are setting, the order that you set, the rules that you set. You want him to be in agreement with you, but whenever he has any standards or rules or whatever, you go against it. So we tend to want our man to basically follow our lead until a certain type of situation happens, and then suddenly we want him to take the lead because, you know, it's a situation where it's just out of our hands. We can't control it. We can't protect ourselves, or, you know, we can't bail ourselves out of it. So we want him to do it. But other than that, we want him to be behind us. So I feel that as women, just as I was saying earlier, we have to learn about masculinity and how masculinity works. A man who is a leader is pretty much a leader all the time. He's not going to be a leader that only leads when you give him permission to. So we have to be comfortable with our man being the leader at all times. We have to be comfortable with being the one who is following his lead and not be ashamed of that, because I do think that we like to shame each other. You know, we call each other weak, and we call each other desperate and pick-me's and all of these different names, and we shame each other for following the men, even though that's the proper order, but we try to make each other feel bad about it. But if women can, you know, first of all, I think it's very important that Black women have to, I mean, this is going to probably sound bad, but Black women have to kind of give that sisterhood up for a little bit. If you are one of these women who are basically, if you have a feminist mentality and you're trying to learn how to not be like that, the first thing you need to do is kind of separate yourself from other women for a little while, because they're going to be a negative influence on you. They're going to try to talk you out of it. They're going to try to tell you that you're basically choosing to be weak because you want to follow your men and you want to respect them and honor them and all of that stuff. So they're going to try to influence you. So I do think the sisterhood thing, it's a good idea, but I think when you're trying to learn to be a better woman, it's good to kind of do that alone for at least the beginning of it. But yeah, we have to stop trying to pick and choose when we want our men to be masculine. Men who are masculine all the time. They're leaders all the time. It's not something that they do part-time or something they do only on the weekends or only when you tell them to do it. They're pretty much like that all the time. So, yeah.
Heavy.
Chief, go ahead and appreciate that. Achot or Sister Shanelle, go ahead, Chief, since you was starting. You know, any comment on the post itself that she wrote out and what she spoke about right now?
Absolutely, it's really not much to go into because I think we we tackled what was it, maybe like what 2 years ago, a year ago, whatever. We on the last platform, Love Language, we kind of tackled that same angle, and remember, a few feathers were ruffled because of that.
Yeah, man, they didn't like it, Shanelle.
Yeah, they were like,
they didn't like that.
They were like, what type of masculine nonsense is they talking about? But it's like, hey, listen, and this is the example that I always give to people, that that the idea of submission, and I'm talking about intelligent submission, not hey, woman, get the hell, get on your knees and whatever, but submission in the sense that there's a hierarchy, that there is an order in and I use the example of a corporation. Every corporation has a CEO. Then you have a COO. The CEO is the chief executive officer. He's the one who he is the head of the company. The COO is the chief operating officer. They're the ones who handle all of the day-to-day operations in the corporation, that when the CEO is not there, the COO is pretty much running the show. But there's an understanding of hierarchy in a corporation. You never see a COO running around saying, who is this CEO think he is? I'm the one. No, it's like, no, I understand. This is your company. I'm doing the day-to-day business, running the situation. There's never a clash on that level. You never hear a person say, I'll never be beneath the CEO. Like, no, you're a COO. You have people that will die for those positions. It's only when women are coming, and I'm not saying all women, obviously, but the urbanite women, it's only when they're coming outside of white corporate America and coming into the household, do they have a problem with order? Because when you're at your job and your supervisor, your boss, tells you, hey, this is what we're doing in this particular job. I need you to go and do this. I need you to go type up this report and have that on so-and-so's desk by Monday morning.
Come on now, Chief. Come on now.
You never stop your boss and say, excuse me, I know what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't need you to be telling me. No, what do you say? Yes, sir. And you go and do your job. It doesn't make you less of a woman. You're out there. Why? Because this is your job. Your job is to do A, B, and C. So there shouldn't be an issue. But again, this is not a issue with women across the board. This is only a certain population of women who hold on to these ideas of submission is a bad thing, and
I want to say it's a great population though, Chief. I gotta throw that out there. That population is pretty
no doubt. It's heavy out there, but but I do know that there's a good portion of women, especially those of those are of under the covenant of Scripture, that they of course are of a pretty much different breed. We get to see a different mentality when dealing with these type of women who are under the covenant of the Most High. So, but I will say this: my last point in all of this is that we have to always remember that when we are out and about as men, and when we're hearing these concepts of submission, is women, they're not being big fans of submission, and that they what's the one Tyler Perry always says it, whenever you ask a woman, hey, listen, do you think you can make me a plate? Can you cook me a dish, or can you do whatever like that? The first thing they say is what? Oh, you're trying to get me to step back into the 50s. And I always thought that was a very interesting platform that Tyler Perry uses a lot, because of course the idea of serving your man a meal or your husband a meal is considered oppressive. Ironing his clothes is considered oppressive. Like I said, cooking, cleaning, all of these things are considered oppressive to a woman until it is the man doing these things. When a man cooks for his woman, why is it not oppressive at that point? Why is it not oppressive for the man? When the man cleans the house, shouldn't that also be oppressive? So the question is it oppressive in itself? These things, as far as cooking, cleaning, and keeping house and raising children, is it oppressive in itself, or is it only oppressive when one gender is doing it?
And Chief, you said something. I don't know if you said it for a past show or if you said it to me on a personal conversation, but you said something along the lines of, you was like, Morris Shema, have you ever heard a woman say, man, you need to take a hold of more of your feminine side? Did you say that last show, or did we say that in private conversation? I don't know, but like, we hear that a lot, and it's
right.
like, I think it's probably because, kind of what Shanelle was touching on, when you get a sense of a man being or grabbing hold of masculinity, or being, firm in a decision, or firm in his talking. I'm not talking about being disrespectful. I'm not talking about calling you out your name. I'm not talking about any of that. But a man that stands guard, they want you to, these type of women, not all women, wants you to go back on that. Hey, you should be more soft or more feminine. I'm like, oh. And you said that, Chief. I don't know if it was on the last show or if it was me and you talking by ourselves, but
Yeah, a
I
lot
just
of our
want,
conversations overlap, so it
yeah.
could have been in any context. Yeah.
Right. Okay. All right. Did anybody else have anything to say in regards to what the sister Shanelle brought forth?
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, so I want to say this, man. Hats off to Chief Zed, man, for touching on a lot of the points that he did. And the sister as well, because I think the post that she wrote about power and authority and leadership as far as the men in the household, I think is real prevalent. And I'm gonna say this about the power aspect. And I was just taking some notes about that because power. What the women got to realize is that as this time winds down for things to be reset and go into a time of peace again. Because when you look at history, there's always a time of chaos, a time where everybody's just all over the place, and there's always a time of peace.
That's right. Come on
Um,
now.
as we
Come
get
on now.
as we get closer to this time of peace coming, however that's going to come, you know, it's going to be two. It's going to either be two way, one or two ways. Man is going to receive this power that the sister is talking about. It's either right now the women give it up and let us have it, or what's going to happen is as we get closer to this time of peace, it's going to be taken. And once it's taken, they're not going to like that. And I'm not talking about all of them.
Uh oh, Saul. Go ahead, man. Hit
Um,
it.
and it's going to be, and what I mean by taken is, to add some context to that, is that whenever a nation is downtrodden and taken captive by another people, it's done by men. Like women don't do that. So, but just putting it in perspective, once those people who are oppressed rise up and take over, and start to regain their prominence back like they once had, if they ever had it, or maybe if they didn't start to gain prominence for the first time, um, once they take the spoils and take the riches and take um, the real estate and take all of the basically all of the benefits that the nation that will oppress them had, and they take it for themselves. Um, Once those men take that back, that power is going to be that power base is going to be on them at that point, and everyone else around seeking opportunity is going to be looking to that race of men for opportunities. So what's going to happen is that if that happens, if we get power at that point as opposed to getting it before, in terms of leadership and being able to lead and do what we have to do for our households, those women who had that type of attitude are going to be excluded. You're going to be excluded, and you're going to, and then you pretty much just going to die off in the wilderness somewhere after that, because you're not going to be able or have the strength or the power to overtake the men. So you don't have no other choice but to either fall in line at that point or just be rejected and go die in the wilderness. And that may sound harsh to people, and some people might not like that, but that's okay. But at the end of the day, that's really the two ways that at least from my point of view, I think it can happen, because other than that, you could just give it up and be submissive and just let it be that. And going into the next point, to segue into the next point that the sister made about men that they lead all the time. And I think that's a great way to say that, because that's really what that is. And it's not to say that a woman who has ideas or has aspirations shouldn't be heard, But just because you're heard doesn't necessarily mean that it'll be adhered to if that man's vision, or if he feels that his vision may be compromised to that adherence. So it's not to say that you won't get a fulfillment in your lifetime with that person, but let's keep it 100. Like, if we're going to go with the scriptures and what the scriptures say about women being complete and childbearing and being white and being women. If you was to ask a lot of the older women who has, went through life and had children, which I've asked before, but I would, ask everyone to, do this experiment on your own. Ask a lot of the older women who have lived life and done a lot of things in their lifetime, that has had children and been married and so on and so forth. What was the greatest fulfillment, or what gave them the greatest purpose in life, between having children, being a wife, having a career, and whatever else they saw for themselves, just coming from this society's perspective. And in my experience, a lot of the older women will always say, their greatest purpose and joy that they received in life was just having children and seeing the look and the level of excitement on their children's face and their husband's face when they did certain things when it came to the wife role or the maternal role in the house. And some of them even would mention or admit that they didn't even realize how meaningful it was until they experienced it. So going back to the man and leading it and leading and wanting to lead all the time, that's just, you just have to expect that as a woman. There should be never a time where you want to lead, because like I was saying on the other show, when we were talking about leadership and what comes with that, it's a great responsibility for men who are in that role. We're talking about leading a family and having a family to teach and give instruction to. That's a very pressurized situation to be in. It can be very burdensome. It can be very weighty for a man to have to wonder if the decisions that he has made is even the right decision, because regardless of how confident brothers may seem, all of us have our doubts from time to time and have things on our minds and on our shoulders from the decisions that we made, because it's not always a guarantee that decision that we made is going to be 100% thorough or come to fruition. And that's very pressure. That's a very pressurized situation to be in, and a very burdensome situation to be in. And one may say like, well, why don't you, give some of that to the woman? But it's like, at the end of the day, the consequences of their decision, positive or negative, is going to always fall back on him, regardless of, where you step into that role on, or step into that field on to play that game with him if you want to do that. Another thing too, going into the man leading and wanting to lead all the time aspect is, I think some women feel like disagreeing with their husbands means that they could just disobey or go a completely separate way with what they want to do because they disagree. I mean, you're going to have disagreements. I mean, there's no two people in this world that agree on 100% of everything. So in a relationship, there's no way that a couple would agree on everything, especially coming from a society like this with no foundational or cultural background. So it's understandable, but that doesn't mean that because you disagree with the decision that you're not supposed to support the decision. Like, we are a family, we are supposed to be one, and that opposition. I don't come from that school of thought, because again, like with my parents and my father, my mother, like regardless of if my mother disagreed with my dad or not, she never let him know, and she always supported with what the direction he wanted to go. And it's not to say that he was always right, but even when he was wrong, she supported that as well and tried to bring that positive aspect back into his forefront so that he can be confident to make decisions again. And that's really the purpose of the woman, because again, we both have our roles, and the decision making and the vision goes through the man. And it's not to say that a woman is not a part of that, but again, a man's vision cannot be fulfilled without the woman's bringing life into the world, or her part in bringing life into the world, and her part in doing and playing her role within the home and in the structure of that man's vision. So again, it may be like we like you played the what's his name what's the singer name? I don't even know why I'm forgetting this cat name. He played the song "It's a Man's World" last week. James Brown, my bad. you played the song, right? So you played the song last week or the week before last, I believe. And even in that song, even though he was saying it's a man's world, and you can essentially say a man's vision, but it had no meaning to it without the woman and the daughter being involved. And at the end of the day, regardless of the dominance of the man, the woman is still essential, is still is important to that even being something of prominence as far as a man's vision and a man's world being what it is. Lastly, as far as what I got to say on that, is that I think the women who have a certain attitude towards the masculine principle and towards the patriarchal aspect does come from a background that's not rooted in any kind of patriarchal leadership or lineage, because it just wasn't present. And I am one of the fortunate ones to have had experienced some level of patriarchal background. But I do want to say that you have the strength and the courage. I mean, well, you have to sum up the courage, but you do have the strength. And if you continue to study and gain the knowledge, I believe you can also have the knowledge and the discernment as well to overcome without, you haven't had that experience of a patriarchal upbringing, but I believe that you do have the strength with the knowledge that we have today to overcome that negative background and upbringing to right this ship and change what couldn't been changed in the past. But I think that all the brothers and the sisters of your caliber, Shemai to the sister, to Yeshayahu, to Chief Zeb, and whoever else didn't have a certain level of upbringing, but that has a level of consciousness that's on this level or this playing field of being an Israelite or being in the scriptures or being in the quote unquote truth. I think we all have the strength to say, you know what? I'm not going to make any excuses. I'm just going to make all the necessary sacrifices I can to make sure that any children I bring into this world do have the opportunities that I never had, and that I can bring forth that energy and muscle up and sum up the courage and the strength to bring a certain level of energy and spirit into the household that I didn't have and that I may have not experienced or seen, but I think I can replicate that by coming together with my brothers and sisters and creating that energy together as a community and a standard, as me and Shema would say on a regular basis. And so that's my last point, and I'm gonna yield
You know it.
right there.
I want to say something before. I know Yeshayahu, you might be wanting to come in, and I'm gonna let you come in. I just want to say something. I want to put a thought out there, bugging those as a listening ear. With the post and what the brother Prince Shaul was bringing out, I do want to let you all know. It kind of goes into what Chief Zeb was saying with the CEO and COO. When it comes to what we're all speaking of, you got to understand that you have this man, right, with this masculinity that he's supposed to display and demonstrate. It is an understanding of, hey, it's the final word, right? A lot of people are not going to like that. But the example that he brought out was CEO and COO is what I'm trying to bring out. The CEO makes that final decision. But that does not take away from the advice, the suggestions, and things like that that the COO and others bring to the table. Because one thing about being a leader all the time is also taking in great consideration what the other party that's in there with you has to say. When you think of Moshe, when you think of the what was set forth from his father-in-law and say, hey, you need these people to do this X, Y, and Z. You make this final decision at the big moments when things take place here and there. But these other people that's in place that I'm suggesting that you should do, they'll make these small decisions. They'll make these even decisions that might be major. You just have that final thing. So what the sister was saying as far as leading all the time, that does not mean, and she could correct me if I'm wrong, but that does not mean that, hey, you say this what it is. You do have the final say, but it's not like, I don't care what you say, I'm just going to do what I do. No, a great leader is going to, first of all, pick a woman that he feels or what he knows complements his vision and a great family vision of success. And if he picked that woman and he knows that she's that, he's going to value what it is that she has to say and bring to the table. Okay. Now you do got to understand that as this man, he does have that final, but he should do it from a righteous standpoint, not just because he's the man. And with that, I yield. I'm going to bring Yeshayahu. I don't know if you wanted to comment, and then we're going to go to the next topic. We got two more topics. Well, one more topic, but we're going to read the other post that she has, which I love that post, by the way. Y'all going to see what I mean by that when we bring it out. And then we're going to bring this video that I have, and I want to get you all's thoughts on that. So, Yeshayahu, you have anything? He might be occupied. I'm going to give you about 3 seconds. Then we're going to move on. 3, 2. All right, we're going to move on. All right, so the next. Oh, yeah, he's still not muted. Chief, did you have anything to say? It looked like you was about to say something.
Oh, no. My hand just moved out. My hand was already on the mouse. So I'll just.
Hey, you was ready. Trigger happy. So the next post that we have, and I thought this was interesting. It was a third one, but time is starting to pick up, and I do want to touch base on that video. If you all decide that we want one more, it's another post she just posted today that I was like, man, we might want to hit that, but we're gonna save that. But this post was actually this year, and it goes like this. It says, a woman who thinks like a man and acts like a lady is doing just that, acting. Who all got that book by Steve Harvey? Y'all go see what is going there. Her acting may seem that of a feminine woman, but behind her acting is masculine intent. The intent to control and dominate. You can act like a lady while thinking like a man, but you can't be a lady while thinking like a man. Being a lady means you will need to have a feminine mind. Not only will your actions be feminine, but your intentions will be too. So do you have a feminine mind or a masculine mind? Is it your intention to be orderly and harmonic, or is it to rule and be dominant? However you think, that will be the driving force behind your intentions. What's that scripture, Chief? You know what I'm going to say. Based off what she just said. So a man thinketh, so is he. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring it up so y'all can read it. Sister Shanelle, Acho Shanelle, you mind speaking on that? Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. How do I get out of this? Do y'all see? Okay, hold on. I'm going to try to bring it back up. Give me a second. But Shanelle, you go ahead. You can speak on it. I'm just going to pull this back up.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Sure. What I was saying is, I've been seeing a lot of posts on social media, on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube of femininity coaches. And a lot of these coaches are teaching women to basically pretend to be feminine so they can attract men who have money or men who basically men who are just willing to spend a lot of money on a woman or whatever. Sugar daddies, basically.
I was
And
just about to say
I
that too.
think it was right. And these women are saying, you know, well, you have to dress like this, and you have to wear pearls, and you have to wear pink, and wear your skirts a certain way, and wear your hair a certain way, and just basically teaching women how to come off as feminine. But as far as actually truthfully honoring the man that they're with, and being cooperative and being supportive, and you know, being a helpmeet and all of this stuff, you know, they're not teaching that. They're just teaching women to seem feminine, you know, do these superficial feminine things so these men can think that you are a feminine woman, when in reality you're only pretending to be this way so you can control him and to make him do what you want him to do. And so that's what, you know, where I was going with when I was saying, do you have a feminine mind? Because these women are acting feminine, but they don't have a feminine mentality. They are not trying to work with these men and be orderly and be harmonious with the men and be complimentary to the men. They are trying to get over on him. And so that is, to me, that is still dominant. That is still masculine. So, yeah.
Awesome. I definitely, like I said, when I saw this post and she said a woman who thinks like a man and acts like a lady is doing just that, acting. And first thing I thought about, cause you know, I never read that book yet. I don't know. Have any of you fellas read Steve Harvey's book? Anybody?
No, because I have better things to do with my money, like buy Pepsi. So,
oh my goodness.
No, I do want to get the book. Maybe I'll try to find it on PDF, because I don't want to actually buy it. You know, but I wouldn't mind seeing it. But I mean, after seeing the movie, I kind of see, I'm like, okay, I get where he's going, but you know, Steve, you know, as a man thinketh, so he is. I mean, he has to put out that information, because when you look at how he basically is dominated by his wife, who, let's keep it real, she was she was a trap queen at one point in time. His current wife.
Hey,
so
you know,
she was a what? What happened?
Right?
Yeah, he been married 3 or 4 times. You said.
Yeah.
No, she was a trap queen, meaning that the dudes that she was involved with prior to him, these were drug dealers. This is common knowledge. Everyone knows this now. Like, she was in that life, so she already has a certain mentality anyway. So if you ever notice, once Steve married her, you can actually see the change in how he moves. Prior to her, that was the old Steve Harvey. That was the, you know, I'm a man and yada yada yada. The next thing you know, after he gets married to this woman, the next thing you know, you see him on Family Feud, talking about, hey, yeah, you know, us men, you know, we dumb, we don't know nothing, you know, like, what?
Yeah, man.
So yeah, that movie, I can only imagine that the book is probably more ridiculous than the movie.
Right, and to some people, especially women, I'm sure that, and I might check it out. I'm sure that the book seems amazing. You know what I'm saying? Because it's telling you to think like a man. But I don't think I know they don't understand the harm it's really causing for you to think like a man. We don't need 2 men in the household thinking the same. The purpose of us to come together is to actually, we're going to be echad, we're going to be one in our thought and our vision, but it's a beautiful thing to have different vantage points. You know what I'm saying? Me and my Shaul, we got different vantage points, and we men. You know what I'm saying? And we operate, and we know how to, even though we might have different vantage points on certain subjects, we still know how to come together. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with me and Chief. We have certain vantage points, but if you have a woman, you want a woman to think like a man who was, first of all, not a man for however many years or how old she is. You got her reading your book. And you want her, after reading your book, to know how to think like a man that quick. But you have people that's in the FBI who saw that TV show Criminal Minds. These men and women in Criminal Minds have went to school and studied for years and years upon years and years upon years to become this agent, to be able to think like a criminal, because for years and years and years and years they studied how criminals moved.
Is that the show with Shamar Moore in it?
Yes.
Okay, I've seen that. Yes, sir.
So my point in trying to bring this out is this. It goes into every type of subject and topic that we bring out. When I bring up basketball athletes, they're pro athletes. Why are they still practicing? Because they have to practice. They have to practice to accomplish what they're trying to do. When you think of Criminal Minds, they're trying to they're studying all those years to have a criminal mind. You're going to tell me that you're going to give a woman a book that they just bought. They supposed to read it 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. That maybe take them a month to read, maybe, I don't know. And they supposed to have the actual thought of a man. They supposed to gather what a man is thinking that quickly. And then they don't have any type of, elder. Now I'm trying to be the advocate right now. You don't even have any type of elder grooming you in regards to truly thinking like a man. They're going off their own study, which really not studying, to think like a man. So what is the point of me saying all this? My point is, if Steve or whoever really wrote the book is trying to groom these women to think like a man, if they was truly able to think like a man, guess what? A lot of, and this is going to sound crazy when I say this, a lot of marriages will still be working. What do I mean by that? Now, this might be a stereotype when I say this, so correct me if I'm wrong, you all. And I've learned this from my family. My family is mostly filled with women. So I hear this from women. I know women that can get into it with another woman and won't talk to that woman for years. A man will get into it with another man unless it's dealing with, murder or something like that, something along those lines. And they will be able to rectify whatever it is they went through. Now, I know it is cases where they'll go that length too. But what I'm saying, when you're talking about think like a man, is when it comes to those type of arguments, those type of battles, we tend to come together and rectify the situation a lot better than women do. This is my opinion. I'm not saying it's a fact, but based upon what I've seen and heard actually from women. You know what I'm saying? So I bring me and Shaul back into play. This man has a lifestyle that he grew up from, a lifestyle of his father and his mom being together and his whole childhood. My mom and my dad wasn't. Right? So it'll be certain subjects me and him might have a difference of opinion, and his might be more valid than mine because of his experience, because of his upbringing. You know what I'm saying? Or vice versa. Mine might be different due to my studies and my practice. You know what I'm saying? But through those differences, we still can chalk it up, move forward, because we have a certain vision and we going regardless. But when you are not truly thinking like a man, I'm talking about a real man, and you're just thinking of the stereotypical man, and now I know I was long-winded. I was trying to get to this point right here. That book, in my opinion, I haven't read it, but I heard it. It seems like it's more so towards the stereotypical man, but not towards what Shanelle and we are bringing out, the men of true masculinity. And with that, I'm going to shut up and yield and let you all go.
And let me say this real quick on that. Like, that book is called Think Like a Man. And I mean, let's keep it real. Like, we're talking about Steve Harvey here. Like, how the hell, like I'm not giving this dude no leeway to speak for all men and say that he know how we think in general. I mean, I would I would pay money for somebody else to make a claim like that other than him. Like, that's the worst dude to even make a claim like that. Like, to even make
How many times you been married?
4 times. This man don't have 4 wives, bro.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? And and then I know the story that came out about him that was saying that most of the women that he was with, the wife that he married, the wife that he married after the one he left, that's why he married her, because the other chick was like, man, you cheating on me with her, and then he was like, all right, man, you be gone, kick her out the crib, and he gonna marry the new chick. And that happened a few times with him. So it's like, man, I don't put no faith and no trust in no dude that's been in 3 or 4 different relationships in terms of a marriage.
I
And
got Saul, as the host, I got to come in. I got to say something, ask you a question. And I
yeah,
want Shanelle, I want everybody to speak on it. I really do. For the simple fact that he's been married 4 times and came out with this book that I assume has, been a New York seller or something like that, I'm guessing, based on how many people read and talks about it. Do you think he's a valid source to listen to due to 4 marriages? Now, I want to be fair and say, hey, I know that sometimes you can be with someone and it might not work out. I understand that. You all know my situation. I was, but I ain't continue in it though. I ain't about to go and find another woman, get married, and find another. But so I get that aspect of it. But 4 marriages and then create a book about think like a man but act like a woman. I don't know if that's the title or not. Do you all think this is for you, Shaul? This is for you, Chief Zeb, and this is for you also, Sis Shanelle. I think Yeshayahu might be occupied. What's you all's take on the amount of women and or men that love this book and listening to someone that has been married for 4 times? Some say, well, he been through experience, so he can go ahead and he could teach you something.
I mean, that's too many times, man. That's too many times, bro. Hey, man, like, look, you know what? I understand that aspect, man, in terms of somebody having that level of experience. But twice, I say, man, max twice, bro. But like 3, 4 times, bro, that's too many times, man. And then the marriages don't even be lasting that long, bro. Like his joint be lasting like 7 to 10 years. I think maybe his longest marriage may have been something like upwards of close to 20. But the dude ain't nothing but like 50 something. I think either late 50s, early 60s or something like that. Man, the dude ain't been married. I mean, he ain't been
Dang.
living that long for him to have
Wow.
to been married that many times and had that much experience with these women, bro.
So you saying he don't got the Bible life, huh? He don't got
Nah, bro. Like
hundreds of years.
yeah, this man young. Like these other marriages ain't been lasting no more than a few years, and then he on to the next one. You know what I'm saying, with the mistress and all that. So. Like this dude, like, and I mean, I'm not one for taking advice from somebody who married mistresses, bro. Like, how you gonna marry a mistress, bro? Like, you talking about you gonna give me advice? And I'm not with that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so that's my take on it. I mean, I understand the question, and had it been someone else in a different situation, I could have agreed with that. But that's too many times. Man. That's too many times.
So I know I asked the question, and I'm going to add this to the question for Sister Shanelle and Chief Zeb. Is it more so they're gravitating towards the book because it's satisfying, I don't know, what they want or what they, you know where I'm trying to go with, I'm sure. So what's you all's take on that?
Well, listen, me personally, I don't have a problem so much with the idea that the fact that he's had these multiple wives or whatever the case over the years. I mean, because especially when you're talking about urbanite marriage, urbanite marriage is designed to fail because it's not built on anything substantial anyway. So when these marriages fail, we can't really be too hard on them because they're going into a system that's already designed for failure anyway. So if you have someone who's married from an urbanized standpoint, and let's say they've been married 10 years, that's a miracle. It's like, what? You've been able to last 10 years in a cesspool? You know what I'm saying? Praise God, whatever, because that's not supposed to happen. What's supposed to happen is these marriages are supposed to last 6 months to a year. That's how these marriages are supposed to last, because because of how marriage is established in this society. So I don't necessarily have a problem with the number of marriages. How I've dealt with Steve Harvey and as far as his platform is, I'm concerned with what lessons has he learned after these marriages. Does he still have the same thinking that he has? And that's what has made me look at him and say, you know what, I can't rock with anything this cat says, because everything, because for 4 marriages, listen, you're supposed to learn that the learning curve is supposed to be lowered every time you get married. You're supposed to have so much experience that by the time you get to marriage 3, either you're supposed to make it work, or you're supposed to just dead that immediately, like, and of course that goes into courting, but that's another subject. But
yeah, we spoke on that on love language. So we do want to say that people that's listening, we're not talking about getting married once, twice, 3, 4 times, because we're big on courtship. Right. But he's speaking on some right. Go ahead, urbanite type stuff. Go ahead.
Right, we're talking about urbanite, and anybody who doesn't know what urbanite is, meaning African American cultural concept. So yeah, so with Steve Harvey, if it was, let's say, if it could have been anybody else, than other than Steve Harvey, my thing is, okay, you've been married this amount of times. Okay, what have you extracted from your experiences in these relationships? Now, when we listen to Steve talk now, because I'm a big Family Feud person, I like watching Family Feud. So
yeah, that's the show. I'm not gonna lie to you. Yeah. I haven't watched it in a while, but that's the show. Go ahead.
I get a chance to hear Steve, and if you listen to the things that he says, you're like, you know what? This dude hasn't learned a damn thing. He hasn't learned anything, because some of the narratives that he pushes, okay, you know what? Either this marriage is gonna fail, or she done lifted him up by the armpits and sat him on the desk somewhere, and is dealing with him as a simp.
Hey man, why you say that, man?
but I'm just saying, so I mean, that's how I kind of view, with Steve Harvey and his platforms. And I realize that the things that he says, which, mind you, women who are reading that book or watching the movie, they should be offended by Steve Harvey saying these things. Why? Because in order to understand the importance of that statement of think like a man, you first have to ask, well, what does Steve believe about men? What is his platform on men? And Steve's belief,
come on now, right,
is men are idiots.
I heard him say something similar before.
Yeah, he says it almost every day on
I don't understand it.
Men are idiots. Men are not very bright. They're dumb. They can be led, down a road, by their penis, or by, other little trivial things. Women are the brains. Men are dummies. So
like, you see why this man can't be trusted, man? Like, how this man be talking about a book?
But that's the reason why women who are reading this should be offended, because she's saying, wait a minute. If you're saying men are idiots and they can't be trusted because they're not trustworthy, why would I want to think like one? Because as a man or woman,
my goodness, come on, Chief.
Is
right.
So an intelligent woman will be like, yo, what the hell is this dude talking about?
But hold on, Chief. I'm gonna be an advocate, or what they call the devil's advocate. I don't want to say that, but anyway, look, he's probably, if that's the case, what you're saying, and I ain't trying to hold off Shanelle, I wanted to come on too. If that's the case, you got to look at it from this point of view. If we're idiots, he's teaching you how idiots think. So if he's teaching you how idiots think, here's the blueprint. Now you're gonna really get them. That's if that's the case. If what you're saying is true, and I'm rocking with it, I believe that he's coming from a standpoint of, okay, they're idiots. So here's the blueprint on how to think like an idiot, because you all are not idiots. Here's a blueprint on how to think like an idiot. Now you will not go through what you go through with these idiots. And I'm about to take a sip.
But now she does. But now the woman who has spent all of this money and time learning about idiots hasn't been taught what to look for in an actual man, because her whole direction and her entire attention span is focused on what? On idiots, or at least what Steve Harvey says are idiots. But it's interesting coming from him, because this is exactly how he met his current wife. So he's speaking from experience. Listen, my thing is this: no, you can't speak for us. You're an idiot. If you feel you're a man who's a moron, that's on you. That's not on me. I'm not an idiot. So women, of course, intelligent women would look at this and say, you know, why is he pandering to me? Why does he feel that I need to know about idiot-based men? Why would he not put out a book dedicated to how to find good men?
Right. And hold on. I want to stop you right there as the host.
And that's pretty much all I'm going to say.
This goes to, and Shanelle, I want you to comment on this too, but this goes into, I actually got a book of Shanelle's. This goes into how she, you know, when you just say how to find a real man, a masculine man. Shanelle, after you speak on this, can you speak on maybe one or two of your books that's teaching women how to find a true man? That is what, you know, so I'm going to shut up right there and let you go ahead and speak if you're still there.
Of course. I did read Steve Harvey's book years ago. I didn't read the whole thing. I think I read probably half of it. And when I was reading it, of course, it didn't seem so bad to me at the time. I felt like he was just trying to put women up on some game. I didn't really see that much evidence of him trying to, I guess, disrespect men. But I don't really remember all of the details in the book anyway. But the way it was coming off when I was reading it, it did seem like he was just genuinely trying to help women. Like he was trying to help us to understand how men think and how men choose women, and basically trying to give us pointers on how to be the one that the man chooses. That's what I was getting from the book. But
to be fair, Shanelle, neither one of us has read the book, so we're just going off opinion and speculation. So we appreciate you letting us know your thoughts on it, especially being at the position you're at right now. So go ahead. I just want to throw that out there for those listeners. You know, although we are saying these things, it's all speculation right now.
Okay. I think after his book got really popular and he started getting a lot of limelight for it, I think that's when he started doing a lot of the pandering. You know, he started simping a lot because it was, you know, the book was just such an eye opener for a lot of women, and I think that's when he really just started pandering. But the book itself didn't come off like he was simping. It really came off like he was really just trying to give us some free game. But I haven't read it in years, so I don't really remember all of the details. But I don't really know what made women gravitate toward the book other than maybe the title. The title itself is one of those things that, you know, women would gravitate toward that because it's basically telling us that we can act like a lady and think like a man at the same time. So I think a lot of women just found that title to be interesting. And the book itself, it was interesting. You know, I felt like I learned a couple of things from the book, but I don't know. I didn't finish reading the book, and I never went back to finish reading it. So I guess that says something in and of itself. So, but yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about that.
Okay, cool. Before we all right, so if you could, well, I'll wait until the end of the show to where we can plug, get some of your information out there, tell people where to go to find your authorship, your books, things like that. I do want to. I have a video I want to show because we are getting kind of lengthy on the time. But now that y'all brought that out, the topic that Chief brought out, and then also what Prince Shaul was speaking of, it kind of segued into what the post you put up yesterday. I'm gonna try to read it fast because I gotta bring that out. I think it was yesterday you put this out. So, because Chief Zeb said something about it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be like this. And when he said that, I'm like, man, I got to go ahead and read what she had put out yesterday. So I'm going to try to read it. It's a little lengthy, but it kind of goes into what Chief was speaking about. So I try to read as fast as possible because after this, I want to bring out that last video and we're done, you all. I don't want to keep you all too long. So this post right here, it says the divorce rate is high because it's supposed to be. When unmasculine men and unfeminine women marry, it should result in divorce, and it does. We don't date and marry based on patriarchal principles anymore. Therefore, marriages are weak. They barely stand a chance. So what you say, Chief? They barely stand a chance. If men would vet their potential wives the way patriarchal men do, divorce wouldn't be much of an issue. But men choose women based upon superficial standards. They don't require us to prove that we have wifely abilities. They don't talk to the man that is currently our head. Oh man, that's a fact. They don't check with him to see if we actually are submissive, feminine, or righteous. They don't check our reputation. In fact, some of them say our reputation doesn't even matter. I've heard that before. So with that being said, the divorce rate in this country is rightfully high. The fact of the matter is women are not really being vetted. Therefore, legal marriage has become an unsafe position for American men to be in. This can be a good thing in the end. Maybe this will teach men to be patriarchal so they can get their power and peace back. That power again. I don't think getting legally married in this society automatically means you're doomed for divorce, but it is unsafe to legally marry without going through a patriarchal vetting process to ensure that your wife is really who she seems to be. Hold on, it's a little more left. Almost done. If you are going to spend the rest of your life with someone, you shouldn't think that vetting them properly is too much work or takes too long. Marriage is a lifetime. Better to take several months to vet than to have several years of misery. Would you like to speak on that, Sister Shanelle? And then the brothers can comment if they want to.
Yes, sir. I wrote that status because someone had actually made me mad. It was one of my friends, and we were chatting in my inbox, and he was saying that he doesn't believe that it's a safe thing for men to legally get married because women will be able to take the man's children. If they got a divorce, the woman can take the man's children and put him on child support and, take half of his wealth, which is all of that is true. And so he was, just basically saying that he doesn't feel that it's a safe option for a man to legally marry in this country. And for the most part, that is true. It's not really safe. But what I was trying to tell him is that maybe it's unsafe because men are not really vetting women the way they used to, years ago. And especially, back in biblical days, the way men used to choose wives, men are not really choosing wives like that anymore. So I think that could be the problem, not necessarily the laws in this country that, obviously the laws are set up in favor of the woman and makes it very easy for women to do whatever we want to do to men. So that's obvious, but I think that if men had a patriarchal vetting process in which the way they chose women, I think that it would be safer for them to actually pick a wife and legally get married and not have to worry about their wife divorcing them, taking their children, putting them on child support and stuff like that. Because I do think virtuous women do not do those things. I think there are ways that a virtuous woman conducts herself even in the event of divorce, even if the two of you decide that you're not going to be together anymore. I don't think a virtuous woman's going to say, well, I'm going to ruin his life and I'm going to take half of his stuff and I'm going to make sure that he doesn't get to see his kids. And, I still think even if divorce happens, a woman who is righteous is still going to conduct herself in a righteous manner. So, yeah, that's all I have to say.
That was good stuff. Good stuff. I appreciate that. Chief, did you have anything? I'll go last. Chief, did you have anything?
No, I mean, I pretty much wanted just, I guess for the end for the rest of the show to pretty much give the sister the platform. So I'm pretty much good on that on my side. So I'll yield to the next.
Cool. Shaul, you got anything?
Yeah, let me say apologies for to those listening that wanted to hear Yeshayahu, man, but he had to step away. He had some stuff going on. That's why you haven't heard from the brother in a minute. So we just wanted to say that kind of update you guys on what was going on. But back to the regularly scheduled programming. When it comes to the legal marriage thing, and the topics about the women, or the topic about women raking a man over the coal, if they got legally married and all that. Like I have a certain opinion about legal marriage. I really don't care for it myself. Not necessarily saying I wouldn't do it or anything like that, but I really don't care for it. But I do understand the benefits it can bring with the right plan, right execution, and if you got a couple that has camaraderie and togetherness, I can see it working for pretty much anyone if it's done correctly and sought out with prudence and writing things down and making sure you're keeping record of things and making sure all your paperwork is together. Not necessarily for a divorce, but just for just for your family's sake, for emergencies, making sure your finances and all that kind of stuff is together. But at the same time, I do understand the brother's point, and why he feel like it's unsafe, and why he feel like it's like, man, I'm I don't want to do it, and it's a lot of brothers who are afraid of that legal marriage because of how the system is in terms of how the women, the rights that they give women and the power that they give women to be able to rake a man over the coals if they so choose to. I just think it's unfortunate that things are like this. But again, like I was saying earlier, that time frame, that time of peace is coming, and that time of rulership for our people to rule again is coming. And it's going to, these type of things is not going to be a thing of relevance anymore, I believe, in the near future. But again, I'm going to give the platform back to the sister to speak on, or whatever else you wanted to do. I just wanted to chime in real quick and say something. But the legal marriage and the fear brothers have of legal marriage, man, it's just very unfortunate. You know what I mean? That's all I can say. Really don't have much to say on it. But that's my take, in my opinion, and my personal feelings as well on legal marriage from my perspective.
Hallelujah. I want to say something before we bring the last video in, and then I want you all to give you all thoughts and opinions on the video, because it does have to do with femininity. I hate that word. I'm sorry, y'all. Femininity and masculinity. This video, man, that I'm about to share. But I want to speak on something real quick for those that's watching. Like hearing the brother Shaul, man. He was the first brother that I ever met in my life. And I think this was said about me and him both by two other individuals, our elder, Morris Shalem, and also another More is what you always say. That we're big on contracts. We're big on covenants. We're big on securing our family. We're big on the things he was mentioning. And they haven't met anyone that does that like we do. I didn't meet anybody that did. I have an actual a contractual covenant agreement for my future Isha or wife. Literally, I'm talking about, it talks about everything in there, from the children to her to myself to everybody being, good. And this is all legal. You literally can take this and get this thing taken care of, to where if I died or something like that, my family be taken care of. Even if I didn't do a legal marriage, this will be legal. So when my brother's speaking right now, trust me, he has a lot of stuff intact. But the thing going into what she was bringing out with this brother, what they got to understand, the brother that she's speaking of, is this. If you don't get married, and I hope y'all hear me right now, if you don't get married, but you decide to have a baby with the woman, bruh, unless you do what me and my brother Shaul was doing, you still gonna fall into the trap that you're talking about. Period. Why? Because I know this is another topic for another show, but you're a child of the state from birth, from signature. And most men that does not have law in their mind and understand the law, the real law, they sign at the birth of their child. And once they do that, you have put yourself in the system without marriage. So the brother that said this to Sister Shanelle, I don't know if he knows this, but if he doesn't, and if he's watching this, I hope he is. Even if you don't get married, you're still going to be doing what you're talking about, you're concerned of, as far as taking children. Because by law, in most states, we talked about this last week, I believe it is, correct me if I'm wrong, Chief. I read to you all what my state of Illinois shows if you're not married and what happens, how it goes right to the woman. The woman has full control, like Shanelle was bringing out, the power of that. And you have to go and ask for permission to get and to see your child. You have to, unless you have the knowledge that I have. And if you have the knowledge that I have, then that means you have to go private. And going private, you're going to be fighting the government. You can win, but most people are not going to go that step. I didn't even go that step. So that's another topic. I just wanted to bring that out. What the brother brought out just now, facts. What Shanelle brought out, facts. But we're going to move on to the next video. Appreciate y'all bringing that. This is the last video for this topic. And I'm going to allow Sister Shanelle to comment on it. Chief, I know you're going to want to comment. I know you say you're going to give it and let her finish it off. But, man, I know you're going to want to comment for this, man. But here we go. Hold on one second. All right. Let's share this. See if I can start from the beginning. Pay attention, everybody. I mean, to what's being said from the very beginning all the way into the end. Wait, before I continue, can you all hear that? Were you all able to hear that? Hello?
Yeah, you can hear it.
Okay, that's why I stopped. I want to start it over, but I want to make sure you all hear it. Here we go. Let me see if I can. All right, here we go. Okay, wait. I want to stop there because I do realize that Shanelle does not she's not looking at it visually. So what happened right now is a so-called black woman. I think she's in her 20s or something perhaps, and it's a white man, so-called white man. And to start off, she said, "We're not beefing because of whatever she said. We're beefing because you're a female dog." You know what female dog is. So, I was talking to somebody else about this video. We was like, well, we don't know what happened before. I said, well, hey, you seeing what's happening right now. She said, we're not beefing because of whatever she said. We're beefing because you are a female dog. Okay, so she's following him down the aisle right now, Shanelle, because I know you don't see it. And then right now, what just happened, she stole off of him. Hit him in the back of his head. Okay? I'm going to keep playing. You can hear it, and I'm going to, give you some comment about it as it goes. At this point, she hits him again in the face, and he reacts by trying to block it, and then he puts his hand up, kind of letting her know, I'm not doing anything to you. You're a woman. And the friends behind her is saying, don't put your hands on her, after she stole off of him. Okay, let's keep going. At this point, she what we would call squaring up, like a man would do. You know what I'm saying? Doing a little shoulder movement and all that stuff. Let's keep going. And he got his hands up. She swung. He got his hands up. He's saying, you're a woman. Basically, if you want to do something, call your brothers, have them step in. I'm not about to fight you. Okay, keep going. It's almost over, about 20 more seconds. She is literally telling the man to knock her out. He's putting his hands still up. He's walking away. She swung at him again. All right. Okay, y'all get the gist of it. At this point, she's stealing off of him. She's hitting him. She's kicking him. He's just blocking and all of that. And at the end of the video, she basically say, get out the store. I don't believe she works there. I just believe she's there. And he's trying to get people to help. So that's this video. What is since she doesn't see it, Chief, you think you can just give a little your idea on it and then, let her go after, or Prince Shaw?
Well, no, I think you pretty much explained. I mean, it's a very short video, and basically, based on what we're able to see, because again, to be fair, we don't know what happened before it or whatever, before the camera turned on. But the one thing is very clear is that that he didn't want no parts of trying to fight her.
Oh, wait, Chief, forgive me. She actually did see the video. I sent it to her. Goofy me. She actually saw it. Yeah, I sent it to her. My fault.
Okay. Yeah, so I don't really have to explain it. Okay, cool.
Right. So what's your take on it, Chief? On it regardless, as far as what the topic goes, and then, Sister Shanelle, you speak on it, Prince Shaw, and myself, I'll go last.
I'm just going to say this very briefly. And I'm saying this from as a general anecdote. I'm not necessarily saying that this is the case across the board. But I remember my father, before he passed away in 2016, we were having a conversation when I first moved to South Carolina, and the subject came up of about women basically wanting to fight like men, like wanting to fight men physically or whatever, and be the aggressor in the situation. And I remember having a conversation with him, and I showed him the Shahrazad Ali book and stuff like that. And we were talking, and he said, "Listen, son," he was like, me, son. He was like, he's an old school. He wasn't a pimp, but he moved like one as far as the smoothness and the suits and stuff like that. He was real, and he was like, hey, me, son. He's like, I don't put my hands on the ladies, son. I don't put my hands on the ladies. I don't do that. And I was like, yeah, I know, Pop. He was like, but that's for the ladies. And I knew exactly where he was going with it. He's like, son,
right.
he was like, if I come across a female who is not conducting herself like a lady and wants to fight me, and she physically punches me or whatever in my face, he was like, I'm gonna put her face through a window. And I looked at him. I said, I was like, I don't know if I can argue with that, Pop. He was like, listen, son. He was like, you know who's who when you're talking to a female. You know when you're talking to a woman, and you know when you're talking to a, and he used the B word. He was like, you know when you're talking to them. He was like, a man knows the distinction between the two. He was like, when you're dealing with the ladies, with a woman, there's never a need for you to raise your voice or your hand to a woman, ever. He was like, but not every female you deal with is a woman. He was like, and if they want to be a man, you put her face through a window like a man. Now, again,
That's tough, Chief. That's tough.
This is what he said, and I thought about it, and I'm like, and I completely understand what he's saying. I'm like,
yeah,
no doubt, because you got these type of women who, let's keep it real, some of them know how to fight. So they're not fighting you and throwing their little hands and trying to scratch you. They're gonna knuckle up, and if you're not careful, they will knock you out.
It takes 3 pounds of force, ladies and gentlemen. If you do not know anything about boxing, Mayweather father say, you don't know nothing about boxing. If you don't know nothing about boxing, it takes 3 pounds of force to knock an individual out.
Right.
Unexpectedly, more so than anything, but still, you can knock a person out with 3 pounds of force.
Right. But I think that even when my father said that, and even though I agree with him, I'm like, yeah, no doubt. Listen, I'm not the type of man to where I'm just gonna be like, oh no, I'm not gonna raise my hand. Meanwhile, she done broke my eye socket and just wilding out on me. No, I'm going. No, you're gonna go through that wall. That's what's gonna happen. But now that's theory. Realistically, that is a trap off in itself, because the moment that you put your hands on her, she's no longer thinking like a man. To go back to that term, she's no longer thinking like a man. She's a woman again.
I like how you did that, by the way.
Yeah.
I like how you did that. That kind of fit the whole Shanelle thing too, if you think about it. Right. Now you want protection. Go ahead.
Right. She's going back. No, she's going to go back to being a female, and she's going to say, "This man punched me in the face, or this man threw me through a window." And guess what? They're not trying to hear you saying, hey, well, she punched me in the face, because then the double standard is going to pop in. They're going to say, hey, you're not supposed to come at her that way. She's a woman. But like, but wait a minute. What happened to gender equality here? That's like what. So,
oh yeah, that's out the window now.
Mm-hmm. So theoretically, I understood what my father was saying, and I'm like, no doubt. I might not put her face to a window or a wall, but but something's gonna happen. Like she's gonna know, no, you're not gonna do that. That's just not gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? I might have to put her in a figure 4 leg lock or something. Something's gonna stop it. But the realistic part of that, the realism of it, is that if you attempt to physically either hit or control her, whether just wrestle her down or whatever the case, it's not going to end well. It's not going to end well for you legally. And I hate to say this, but what the white dude should have done, he should not have stood there with his hands up. He should have ran out the store and got out of there immediately.
Yeah.
Just for legal purposes, he should not even have attempted to reason with her. The moment that she punched him in the head and punched him in the face, he should have said, you know what? No, this is a setup. Let me get the hell out of here, because it's not going to end well for me. No matter what I do, if I raise my hands up in defense, she's gonna break my face, because you saw her. She fights. She doesn't fight like a woman.
No, she don't fight like no woman, bro.
she's throwing hands.
And I can't wait to get my turn to talk because I got some words. But man, she don't fight like no woman.
Right. He's throwing hands. So it's not going to end well for him. She's going to lump him up, and he's going to be looking like Martin, that little scene from Martin on the Martin show when he fought Tommy Hitman Hearn.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what he's going to look like. But so the only thing he can do, and then if he hits her, that's also not going to end well for him. So he needs to get out of there. You know,
then he white too, by the way. He a white boy too, by the way.
Right.
So I know he was thinking about that.
Right. Any man or any male for that matter, the best thing for you to do in that situation is get out of there, because it's not going to end well for you either way. That's just my what I took away from it initially. And I'll yield.
Man, look. If you will allow me, Shanelle, let me go. I have to speak. I gotta speak. I gotta put this out there. Hear me out, man. I gotta say my piece and then let y'all come in. All right. I have been blessed. I want to say this again. I have been extremely blessed to have never encountered a woman that has done that. I have been around many women that has done it to people I know. I have been around family members that women has done that to. I have been around all types of women, and I've never got that done to me. I don't know if it was because of my presence. I don't know if it was because the Most High Yah know how I am when it comes to fighting. Shaul know how I am. We talked about it, on some equalizer type stuff. But I remember I was talking to my mom, and my mom, she would say this if she was on the show. She would probably let y'all know. She was no joke back in the day. My father is a 2nd degree black belt. I know a lot of people don't believe in karate and all that stuff, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay. No, this man could throw down. He was hood, and he knew that stuff. But he ran, as you said, Chief Zed. When my mom went, acted how she was at that time, she'll speak on it. She spoke on it with me. Not proud of it. She's not proud of it. But she was like this woman. And this man ran. We from Chicago. He from West Side Chicago. You know what I'm saying? He running blocks away from my mom. And he was known by dudes, like men, that, hey, he gets down. Do not mess with Thomas. Don't mess with him at all. But he's running, as you said, Chief. I have been blessed, I want to say, not to have ever encountered that, because I don't know how I would have been. At this point now, I know how I am, but I don't know. I think the Most High Yah has actually made it to where I've never had to encounter that. Getting hit by a woman, stole off or squared up on as a man. I never understood that. I showed my daughter this video, by the way, y'all. My daughter is 11 years old. I told her today, actually, because I was getting prepared for this show before I took her home. So, me and her have that dynamic. We have that conversation, man. I love my daughter, y'all. We have a great conversation, that great dynamic. I said, if you ever do what she did to this man, I couldn't defend you. Some people won't understand why I'm talking like that. Wait a minute. You're not going to defend you don't know how you're going to be in that real situation. I said, no. Hear me out. I'm teaching my daughter to be a certain way. I would defend before anybody. I die for my daughter. But don't be this woman right here. If you're defending your life, okay. But if you're causing this and you're starting this, that is not right. I'm not responsible for the outcome. I'm going to be extremely mad, but you're causing this. Don't ever fight a man. Ever. I know it's women that have won and beat men, and I know it's women that, could grab some, hurt you. That's things I think about too. I don't underestimate no woman. I don't care how small she is. It's too many things on the ground that you could grab. You could get stabbed in your kidney. That's the equalizer in me right now, y'all. Like it ain't fighting. It's not fighting no more. So that's my mind frame, and I'm glad the Most High Yah has not put me in that situation. I told her, like, do not ever fight a man. ever, unless you are defending yourself. And I'm going to teach you how to defend and really hurt a man if you have to. But don't ever start like this woman. This was not right. And she could have got killed. I said, all it takes, this is the last thing I'm going to say. All it takes is for him to push you the wrong way. And you fall. And you bang your head against something sharp. And you're dead. But this woman right here ain't thinking about that. She's thinking that think like a man stuff. I'm going to show him I'm hard. I'm street. I know how to hold my guard up. Actually, it was actually false. She kept her face all open right there. But that's that street fighting. She ain't thinking about that. So ladies out there, and this is going to be my closing for this video. You got to change your mindset and your action. All that tough woman man stuff is not going to get you or get what you want out of it. That whole, what's her name again, Chief? What's her name? The Stallion person? What's her name? I don't know her name, man. Megan the Stallion being all hard and rap talk and all that. But then you know, that ain't going to be good for you with a man. So just step away from it, man. Because it's some men that don't care. It's going to be some men that don't think like us. It's going to be some men that don't think like Chief Zeb talking about run. These men are trying to fight you like a dude because guess what? You want to know why? They don't know how to really be masculine. Since they're not being able to display and demonstrate their masculinity at work, in front of their friends, in front of X, Y, and Z, they're going to bring it back to the home and try to showcase their quote unquote power that they feel they have. And they're going to take it out on you. And if you step to a man on that type stuff, he's going to show you what he feel his power is because he's not able to display or demonstrate his power elsewhere. So you need to be that type of, you gotta, you know what I'm saying? So I'm allowed to pass it. I'm just trying to throw that out there, man. It's things we're not thinking of. This woman right here, I feel for her. I feel for her, man. Because if she acts like that all the time, you're going to come across the wrong man. He's going to have a bad day. And you're going to do that to him. And then you're going to be dead. And with that, I yield.
Not even a bad day. He might just have a bad life. He might have just been throughout his entire life. You know, he's just been, he's been a short fuse waiting to be ignited. And that's going to be the situation that's going to cause him to flip his wig. And so, yeah, it's, well, that's all I'm saying.
Sister Shanelle, the floor is yours. Forgive me. I was just, that ruffles my feathers, as people say. You know, I feel for women that act like that or get in fight mode because their life is at hand. So go ahead. I'll let you, jump in.
When I watched the video, I noticed how when she was going after the guy, there were people in the background telling him that he better not touch her, but no one was trying to stop her from touching him. And near the end of the video, when he wasn't hitting her, but he was just trying to restrain her, that's when people intervened and started trying to, break the two of them up. So this whole time when she was swinging at him, it was okay. And the minute when he started trying to defend himself, now all of a sudden everyone wants to intervene and break up this altercation. And so, I mean, and when you look at her stature, I mean, she was kind of petite. She wasn't a big girl. She was small and short and skinny. She technically could have gotten hurt. And the only reason why she didn't is because he didn't fight her back. And she had, this masculine mind, basically, how we were talking about earlier. She's squaring up on him. She's pulling her pants up like she's a dude. And,
come on, man.
Her whole demeanor was masculine. And no one was doing anything about it, just telling him, don't touch her. And, with the Megan Thee Stallion situation, there were there's reports that she was beating up on Tory Lanez or whatever. I don't know if it's true or not. I didn't really follow the story closely, so I don't really know all the details. But I read a lot of comments from women talking about it, excuse me, on social media. And, you know, they were saying, well, it doesn't matter if she was beating up on him. She didn't deserve to get shot, and he should not have reacted that way. But I think what we have to realize, women who are listening, we cannot control the reaction that a man will have if we put our hands on them. So the safest thing to do would be to not put our hands on them. We can't assume that every man is going to say, I'm not going to hit her back. I will never hit a woman ever in my life under any circumstances. All men don't think like that. And because they are living beings just like we are, they have the right to defend themselves just like everyone else. So you cannot put your hands on men and think that none of them are ever going to defend themselves. So if we actually care about each other's safety, we would tell each other, okay, sis, don't put your hands on men. Don't try to fight them. We wouldn't be out here saying, well, it doesn't matter if she hit him. He shouldn't react like that. He shouldn't hit her that hard. He shouldn't shoot her. You know, it's better to just don't touch them. You know, don't try to fight men. I don't know why that is such a hard concept to grasp, but you are smaller than them. You are not physically as strong as they are. They can hurt you. They can overpower you. And they are built that way because they are supposed to be our protectors. So we shouldn't be out here trying to fight our protector. People who are built to shield us from harm, we're trying to fight them. So if we fight them, then we are going to get harmed. So the safest thing to do is to not try to fight them.
That's right. Real quick, Sister Shanelle, I want to read to you something real quick. This is called the Fishbowl Follies. This is what Chief Zeb had posted. I actually got it. It's a visual right now. You can't see it, but hopefully, you know, if you get some spare time, maybe you'll go back and check the video out. I mean, you know, the presentation that we all did today out. But he made a it's like a meme, right? Maybe I'll try to send it to you or whatnot. But it says, it's a quote from Megan Thee Stallion. It's in July 2020 when she made one of them. And then it's January 2020. And I'm going to read that to you real quick. And you'll get an idea why I brought up Megan Thee Stallion. So July 2020, it says, black women are so unprotected. And we spoke about this on our show too, in like, I think a few episodes ago. It says, black women are so unprotected. And we hold so many things in to protect the feelings of others without considering our own. This is my real life, and I'm real life hurt and traumatized. This was in regards to the situation you're talking about. But then in January 2020, this was in her lyrics right here. Let me read her lyrics to you. It says, hey, I know how to work a gun. I don't need a range. And I could take a hit. I ain't scared of the pain. You want me to be a little more ladylike? ? Come through with my girls, then beat your butt. She said, she didn't say butt, on ladies' night. Diamonds are my new boyfriend. Don't need a man. So that mean I'll never ever F with you again. And I ain't never need him. So it's so easy to leave him. And I be doing me. I ain't never trying to please him. You know. Now I know those are lyrics and stuff like that. But so a man thinketh, so is he. And that's not just designated to a man. That's man in general, man and woman. What's your thoughts on that?
My thoughts?
Yeah.
I don't really know what my thoughts are on that. I didn't really this is my first time hearing that. So
Right. I got you. I ain't trying to put you on the spot. I just wanted to give you a little background of why I brought up her. It wasn't because I really don't know too much about her, but I do know as far as, if this is what your lyrics is about, but then you want us to protect you, but you're saying you don't need a man, you don't want a man. I could do me by myself. It goes into what you've been speaking on today with your platform and even us. And we're not saying as though, hey, we're just trying to say women, men, we need to come together, understand our roles, understand the masculinity part of it, understand the femininity part of it, and that's going to lead to success. But the problem is we don't care about that. We don't care about that. So, Shaul, did you have anything? And then what I'm gonna do after that, Chief Zeb, close out on your closing remarks and your closing words, myself, and then Sister Shanelle, have you close out, let people know how they can find you, find your work, your books, your coaching, all of that. Okay, so Shaul, did you have any closing remarks in regards to the show platform? And then Chief Zeb, myself, and then let Shanelle close out.
I want to say I appreciate you, Sister Shanelle, for coming and supporting the platform. I want to say thank you to the Most High for just giving us the courage and the strength to step out on a limb and say the things that we feel is right to help our people move forward and progress. Thank you for thank the Most High for the platform. Thank the Most High for our brethren, for our sisters, um, for Chief Zeb, More Shemai, and Yeshayahu, man. Hope he's all right and whatever he's dealing with personally. My closing remarks is in terms of the show and my thoughts, and I'm glad that we had the topics or picked the topic that we did, and that we had a sister come on to give her perspective from a woman. To the sisters listening, to those who may listen in the future, I think it was beneficial. I think it brought a balance. I think that the works that she have brought out, or the works that she have put out in past time, and her mindset, her background, her story, I think that is amazing for someone who comes from the background that she comes from to have overcome and transcend her past at such a young age. And so I just want to give my thanks to her for speaking and giving her understanding on how she broke through and transcended. So peace and blessings to you, Sister Shanelle, and to my brethren that I ride and die with every week. And that's my words. That's my closing statements.
Hallelujah. Rosh, Chief Zeb.
Yeah, absolutely. Along the lines of what Prince Shaul's, what he brought out, and that is that definitely thankful for this platform, thankful for the sister Shanelle coming through and bringing her wisdom and her perspective on these subjects. Definitely needed. A lot of sisters out there could benefit from a portion of what she's speaking on. Again, like the brother said, thanks to the Most High Yah for even allowing us to, of course, in this captivity when we're not even supposed to be woke at all, for us to even have the awakening, the fortitude to see that there are some things that are radically wrong in our lives, in our relationships, in our marriages, and to have the wherewithal to address them and to offer solutions. Definitely thankful for that. And just as my closing statement, we need to continue to not we need to not deal with each other on a Republican Democrat type of platform, in the sense of, hey, we're over here, you're over there, and that's it. Like, no, we're gonna figure this out. If we're genuinely tired of the tomfoolery that we call urbanite marriages, urbanite relationships, we're really tired of them. If we're tired of the man bashing, if we're tired of the female bashing, if we're tired of the women trying to be masculine, the men trying to be feminine, if we're really tired of this, then we really need to look at root causes. What is it that is giving us the impetus to be these things, or to think these things, and think that it's actually going to create successful relationships, when the statistics show that it is a dismal failure? We have to approach these things with the thought of solutions. Prince Shaul always speaks about solution-based discussions. So, but again, thankful that we have the opportunity and the platform for all of us to bring this information to the people listening, and to those who will listen going forward. May the Most High bless and guard all of us on this platform, and all of Israel, close and abroad. Hallelujah. Shalom.
Hallelujah, hallelujah. Appreciate that, Rosh Chief. Shanelle, Sister Shanelle, your closing remarks, closing statements. Also, please promote yourself so people can find you.
Of course. Well, thank you for inviting me on. I was really nervous in the beginning, but I think this was good for me because I needed to step out of my comfort zone, because I haven't done this before. There were a lot of people that asked to interview me and asked me to come on their panel, and I just kept telling everyone no, but I had to say yes this time, so I feel good about that. I had fun, and I enjoyed the conversation. I have a book called Hyper Femininity that I would love the women who may be listening to check out. It's on Amazon. So, all you have to do is just type in Hyper Femininity and it'll come up. You can download it on Kindle, or you can get the paperback version of it. So, I also have a book on there called Bride to Be, and that book is specifically for women who are preparing for marriage or who want to prepare for marriage. And both Hyper Femininity and Bride to Be are biblical based. So there's scriptures in it, and it, basically explains what the scriptures are talking about and goes into detail. So hopefully the women who listen to this show will check that out. Both books are available on Amazon.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. I do want to say, I believe I got both. I know I got two of her books, and I will say it is very well thought out, thorough, and actually some homework assignments. There's some assignments on there for the people that gets it. I support our people. I support authors I believe in. I support authors that has a platform that I feel will help the people. Ask Chief Zeb. Ask Rosh Zebulon. I got his book. So did Prince Shaul bought his books as well. Why? Not because I know him, not because I'm just supporting. I literally read the book. Read the book, and Sister Shanelle books, phenomenal. So please check her out. Search her out on, I don't know if she's okay with it, but if she is, on Facebook, I'll let her tell me if that's okay, then I'll give you her name to find on Facebook. But with my closing remarks, I want to say that I think this was a very powerful episode. I wish I would have had her do what she's doing now with Chief Zeb to begin with. But we bounced back greatly, and the information was phenomenal. For the women out there and men, please just sit back watch the show. You don't have to go off of what we're saying right now, but just let it sit, let it marinate a little bit, because it has to be something that we have said, one of us or all of us, that you can add to your journey that can help you be a better you. And that's the whole goal. We're trying to get it to where we have a successful community, a successful culture, because we're not having that right now, you all. You know, so that's the whole point. I appreciate you all. Make sure you follow us on Black Junction / the Masada Watchmen. You can follow us on Twitter at Masada Watchmen. Also, our YouTube, type in the Masada Watchmen. Right now, we don't have 100 subscribers yet. So until we have 100 subscribers, you literally got to type in the box, the Masada Watchmen. Once we get the 100 subscribers, you'll be able to put in a URL. So get us up there, you all. If you want to donate to us, you can donate to our Cash App at the Masada Watchmen. Again, we appreciate you. Make sure you email us at the Masada Watchmen at gmail.com for any topics that you want us to speak on. Anything, questions, whatever. We're going to keep trying to do our best to pump out topics that we feel is causing the failure of our community, you know. And this is not a man bashing or a women bashing show. This is a show to try to bring us together and unify us so that we can be successful. And with that, I yield. We love you. We appreciate you. Shalom, shalom. We will see you next Sunday at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. And let's all say it together. We are the Masada Watchmen. Shalom, shalom, everyone.
Hallelujah. Shalom, shalom.
Hallelujah.